Hello and welcome to the All Nighters 2. I am your host, Joel, and with me we have one co host, special episode, no guest,
Hello, it
Jack.
is I. I returned.
Yeah, from the Aether, from the Void. Today we'll be discussing a really special game, a game that is near and dear to my heart and my co host's heart. So much so that I think we pressure almost everyone that we know who can play it to play it. It is the one, the only Katana Zero. What are your
I love
thoughts?
this
Initial
game.
thoughts? Oh yeah, it's a great
Yeah.
game. One of my favorites. I've completed it at least. I don't think I'm exaggerating to say. I think I've completed it at least 50 times. I've used to speedrun the game. Uh, I got the gold medal achievement. At some point, though, it didn't save on my Steam cloud. I was very mad about that. It
Oh,
turned me off of speedrunning the game. Actually.
dang. Oh, that's so rough. I'm not a good speedrunner. I'm going to be completely honest because every time I do a speedrun, I know a mechanic is to try and use the time slowdown, but I try and master not having to use it. And
Yeah,
it really kills my run because I always make a stupid mistake. But I love this game dearly, much like you. In fact, you actually got me into the game, Joel.
I did. I did. I think what got me into Katana Zero was actually I was on a Hotline Miami 1 and 2 binge. I was figuring out those games because I like indie games. And when I first got my computer, I know the first game I got to run on my computer was Watch Dogs 2. Um,
Oh my gosh.
it's a good game actually. I like Watch Dogs 2 a lot, but I didn't have like that was just to text the graphics out on the computer. But when I got Steam, I saw all of these indie games that I could play now because I used to be an Xbox and PlayStation guy. I had the PS3 when I was really little, and then the Xbox One later. Well, that's actually how Jack and I mainly played. We played a lot of Black Ops 3, a lot of Black
Fringe
Ops 3 actually,
Nightfall, snipers
and
only.
Fringe Nightfall Sniper was only, and if you remember way back as well, Halo 5 was our game for a while, even though the campaign was
Oh
questionable.
my gosh. I was such a big fucking Halo kid. Halo 5 was such a slap in the face to me.
Yeah, we could actually do an episode on that.
I can never go back to Halo
You
5.
know, we kind of could though. We could do a
Oh,
retrospective on all of them.
we could. We very well could. I,
Yeah.
oh my gosh.
But
But we
that's besides
digress.
the point. We're talking about one of the best games of all time, in my opinion. Uh, just an overview of Katana Zero. It is a 2D side scroller. Uh, Plays kind of similarly in idea to Hotline Miami, where it's one hit, one kill. If you hit an enemy once, they will die, but if you get hit once, you die. It's very fast. You run through a level, kill everyone in sight, and then transition to a new screen. Everything, uh, controls wise, is razor sharp and slick. Uh,
So
the
much better than
feeling
Hotline Miami, in my opinion.
let's not
In
go
my
that
humble
far,
opinion.
okay? I love Hotline Miami, but like that game in and of itself has its own super interesting and fun gameplay rhythm, but Katana Zero feels a little bit less chunky than Hotline Miami. Where at Hotline Miami you feel a little bit like in that psychedelic haze where your character is kind of like almost in this drugged out state where they're swinging and moving rapidly and it feels like you could vomit. It's kind of like if you're drunk in a nightclub a little bit in Hotline Miami, but you're still having a great time. Katana Zero feels like you're not hungover anymore and you are going feral on the dance floor a little bit. You are speeding ahead. You are in complete control of everything. Uh, it's awesome.
And suffering withdrawal.
Oh, we'll get to suffering withdrawal because that's a very big important thing. What did you think about the gameplay, Jack?
Yeah. Yeah, so the gameplay, I really love it. As I, briefly mentioned before, I like it more than Hotline Miami. Like I see where the basic mechanics overlap, but I really like the slice and dice feel of Katana Zero, and how you just cut through hordes upon hordes of enemies. Like it's just got such a good flow state. The music really amplifies
Oh,
levels.
the
And
music, dude. Ludowick did so good with the soundtrack. There's also who else was in
oh,
here?
it's a
Uh,
Bill
yeah,
Kiley, I believe.
Big Kylie, yeah, with tracks like Chinatown, and I think Bill Kiley did Rain on Brick as well.
I think
Uh,
so, and I absolutely love Rain on Brick, but
Rain on Brick is awesome. That's the piano theme that plays in the game when you open up the menu. It's seriously an amazing track. The soundtrack in this, just like Hotline Miami, is like banger after banger. There's not one that's disappointing. Even the one that's meant to be intentionally bad, you know, the one that the stoners play, that song that's
oh
meant to be
yeah,
annoying through the walls. Amazing song. Banger.
it all
Like,
goes so crazy for no reason, and I love it for that. And just like he embraced that aspect. Like when it comes to the gameplay, like every time you like walk into the beginning of a level, you see Zero throw on his headphones and start his cassette,
his
and then
VHS
he's just
cassette, yeah.
yeah, and he's just rocking through the levels, and you like really get engrossed in it. Like it really brings you into like the intentionality with like rolling around and like reflecting bullets back and like bouncing off the walls and like it just
Yeah.
it's so like black and white in the moment and it's got you like jamming out in a certain way.
Yeah, and it allows for them to do this neat trick that I love when music is diegetic in something, where they like Zero will pause his music at points, like when he fights V, and then suddenly V's theme will come blaring on, or Full Confession will come playing when he's in the final fight with Headhunter, which we'll get to. Uh, it's really cool what they can do with the diegetic music and then transitioning into non-diegetic music. But we'll get to those individual moments. One thing I wanted to bring up, and I think this is why you like the game more than Hotline Miami, is the slow down time aspect. I think that allows you to be really so in the game. It's 2D, right? But if you hit Shift, I don't know what it is on controller because I play it on mouse and keyboard.
I play
Uh,
mouse and keyboard.
yeah, if you hit Shift on your keyboard, you will slow down time, allowing for you to like have even more control, react easier to things. It makes the game a lot easier to pick up and learn, uh, as well as give you a higher degree of maneuverability and control over your character, which allows for deaths to feel a lot more fair, especially in comparison. I also think the 2D aspect helps with that, making the game feel more fair because you can see most everything on screen that's going to hit you. Whereas with Hotline Miami, sorry, not just 2D, 2D side scroller, because Hotline Miami is 2D as well, but there are enemies off screen that will oftentimes shoot you, especially in the second game. I love that second game, but some levels, like the ship level where you're playing as the Manny Pardo, yeah, the detective guy, that I reset a crap ton on it, and I was pissed the entire time. There were some levels when I was first playing through Katana Zero. I know one that was really hard for me was I want to say Chinatown before the Dragon tape. On my first playthrough, I reset a couple times on that one, but I was never as frustrated as when playing Hotline Miami 2 because of how well the enemies were placed and how perfect like the camera was. You could see everything and you could slow down time to react to things.
Absolutely. To kind of expound on that time slowing down function, um, I would really say like it forces you to get gutsy. Now, like I've noticed with each time I play, when I try and perfect like deflecting bullets back without slowing down time, I can use like when you're not slowing down time, you can get your swings out faster. But if you're
Yes.
slowing down time, it takes slower. So it's kind of like it's a neat trade-off, because with slowing down time, you can get more gutsy with less risk to it. But, like, if there's, like, a bunch of enemies, like, you need to, like, get out of, like, slowing down time, or else you're not gonna be able to pop off a second shot, like,
No.
quick enough. And I think, being forced to get gutsy is also another advantage because, like, with Hotline Miami, there's so many levels where I'd, like, poke my head out a door, get, like, 5 dudes just run through the door, and I'd just be sitting behind the corner just whacking them persistently.
Yeah. You have to get I feel like Katana Zero does a really good job of pushing you into the fun zone where you are actively making decisions. And like you said, I totally agree that the time slow does slow you down, and that's why, at least when I used to speedrun the game, I'd never use it because it would slow down your time, and like the timer would still go. I think high like regular speed, but you would be going slower. So it is subtly encouraging you to like learn the game, memorize it, get quicker, and react faster. But it still has that not handlebar, training wheel there just in case if you need it. You know.
Oh,
Uh,
absolutely. And I think it's just so smart. It's like, if you want to push yourself to truly like be like Zero, like you're not gonna want to slow down time.
yeah, exactly. He's got precognition. He doesn't need to slow down things. He's already seen it coming. Well,
Exactly.
kind of. We'll get to it. Uh, Before we get to a more story focused approach, I also want to touch on another thing, and that is the animation work and how pretty this game looks. For pixel art, the dithering and the shading techniques that they have done make this look insane. Like if you showed this to somebody in the 80s who's like used to Atari pixel art or something like that, they would like lose their mind. This would look, you know, 10 billion times more advanced to them. And it still looks amazing to this day. I'm not trying to like shade it or anything by bringing it back to the 80s, but yeah, it's a
No,
beautiful looking game. The art direction is amazing just in general, like choices, the neon signs, the rain, uh, the puddles, the reflections as well in the game. Oh my god! Sometimes when the neon light reflects, it's crazy. I
oh,
ask
it's
myself,
it's it's
oh
all
yeah,
so well done. But please continue. I did not mean to interrupt.
no, you're not interrupting. It's a conversation, right? I was just like, I was gonna say, I sometimes ask myself, how did they get ray tracing in a fucking pixel art game? And then I realized that they had to hand render that stuff, and it's
Oh, exactly.
amazing. I think this is made primarily by one person, Justin from ASCIIsoft. Uh,
I think so. I did a complete replay of the story recently, and
yeah,
I only done like one, like my initial playthrough being on just a pure story mode. Otherwise, I've been doing like speed runs and like just jumping back into individual levels. But like this is my first full story replay through, and at the credits, it does seem to have been mostly just his work.
yeah, he is amazing at what he does, gameplay wise and art wise. Like, I think now this is me reciting knowledge that I'm not sure, but I don't think Katana Zero was originally a game. It came about from Justin doing some sprite work on some social media platform, and then he kept working from there. Like, I think he was an animator first, game designer second, but I'm not positive. Please, you know what? I'll fact check myself in real time because I don't want to slander this man because he's a great game dev.
Go for it.
Uh,
While you research that, I did want to add on to the art style because I'm not like
yeah,
really an art style fiend, but it's very noticeable to me in this game. I don't typically play many indie games. I play usually what you recommend in some of the others, but um, with this pixel art style, it's its own identity. It feels at home, whereas like other games feel like they're just kind of like adding off of or like adopting like certain art styles. Like I played The Messenger recently, and I love that game. Like
Messenger's
don't get me wrong,
awesome.
it's a
Yeah,
phenomenal game, but it's very clearly 8-bit and 16-bit. Like I mean, it strives for that, but I find a lot of games kind of like adopt that uh style. But Katana Zero like really does feel like is I'm not the biggest bits person, but I have a Game Boy Advance, and I'm pretty sure that's like a 32-bit slash 16-bit system, just depending on what games
hmm
they make. But this feels like they pretty much strived and continued in that direction, but to advance it in the Game Boy Advance like style of sprite work, but like to a whole new level, just above and beyond.
yeah. So I was reading this. I apologize, not an animator first, but he was an indie game dev, releasing freeware previously. Because he did, this is a trip. He did Tower of Heaven, and if you remember that one stage in Rivals of Aether with the Book of Law stuff,
Oh no shit!
yeah, that's the game that he did beforehand. It was a freeware game. I'm pretty positive. Uh,
Holy crap!
yeah. So
I haven't
that's
I haven't heard of Rivals of Aether in ages.
yeah. Decent game. Uh, but yeah, Stander, very very good game dev. Super excited for what's coming next.
Oh, dude, I cannot wait for them to add that free DLC on.
Oh, we'll talk about it. Now,
That we
I
will.
think that we've got the formalities done here. We did a brief overview of the game. You want to get into like the scene by scene, level by level breakdown?
Sure, I'd love to. Let's go ahead and open this up.
All right, all right. Well, you start off the game by it's a cold open, and it's really effective, I think. If I remember correctly, it just starts with your handler who is posing as a therapist, but you figure out pretty quickly in the game that your therapist is not what he seems. Uh, Asking Zero to tell him the dream about the men in the masks again. Uh, and they say they're going to start from the beginning. And then you open this rain. Uh, the main theme for Katana Zero kicks in. Uh, you slice a man's bullet back at him, and it's just so fucking cool. Uh,
Just like
I
the simplicity of that scene is just so like I don't know, like I don't have a good like media comparison off the top of my head right now, but just like there's it doesn't go above and beyond in like a story sense of like setting things up. It's just like bam into the action. Like we're starting this out. Let's
in
go.
medias res. Yeah, it's cool. It's really a strong opening. It then tutorializes you, and it teaches you another important gameplay mechanic for the story, and that is the dialogue system. Katana Zero has a really interesting adaptive dialogue system where if you input answers too early, like in there's a dialogue bar that's timed, right? So you can pick dialogue options, but it'll be in red first, meaning that you can interrupt NPCs talking, and the game will actually react to you interrupting them. They'll give you dialogue where they're unhappy with you interrupting them, or you'll get special story events for being a bastard and not paying attention to the story. Uh, you can then also select dialogue normally if you wait the proper time for the dialogue to go from red to white. Uh, I think this is an awesome touch, especially with the way that dialogue is sort of not scripted. Well, scripted, yes. The game is wonderfully written, but also the way that it comes through, the sound effects for the dialogue, and the way that the font will shake and highlight itself for certain words, it really makes you pay attention, uh, especially since you can skip it. Like, it gives you, the player, a high amount of freedom, but with that freedom, it brings you into the story and makes you really zone in on your choices. What did you think about the system, Jack?
I really loved it. Like on my first playthrough, I I remember there was like times where like I'd be like pressing spacebar and I'd accidentally like click the wrong dialogue option just because I'd be like, ah no, like it was red first. But I just love how you're given the option to truly like say an asshole thing because I feel like most games, you have like certain dialogue options and you're just gonna choose from like a set thing and you're like, you know, you could like say what is it? I think there's a good video online. I forget the content creator's name, but it's like whenever you choose like a dialogue option from the menu, and then it's like it could be like, "How's it going?" and then it's gonna be like, "How's it going, fucker?" And no, this is like very clearly, um, you have like your asshole dialogue, you have like white dialogue that can kind of be standoffish stuff that like maybe it's responses to questions in your therapy sessions that don't like reveal things to your therapist and he won't be aware of.
Yeah,
So it's so smartly made.
it is very smartly made. And also, one thing that I like about Zero is that well, not Zero. Zero as a character is important, though. We'll get to that. But what I like about Katana Zero is that the dialogue choices are not you determining who Zero is. They are all things that he could have said and are written in character to the point where, like, nothing that you can say with him will break his character. It's interpretations of his character, if that makes sense, but it's not like Commander Shepard, where it's like, I'm Commander Shepard, and I can either be a renegade or a paragon. It's two completely different characters, if that makes sense. You know,
Exactly,
it's
because like
all
there's certain things that he will consistently do with his actions that will speak louder than his words, but his words are like a way of fleshing out his character and like, putting that interpretation on it, as you mentioned, to where
Yeah,
like how do you perceive Zero?
not to get ahead of my ourselves, but there is a scene. I believe it's after the dragon tape. No, because you don't go back to the therapist after the dragon. No, you do. I think.
Which scene is it? I have it all written out.
It's a scene where the therapist is opening up. No, it's after you meet with fuck, what's his name? The creator of Kronos, the Null program, long hair, Leon von Alvestein or Alvestein.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
after you meet with Leon, you talk with the psychiatrist again, your handler, the one who's been giving you all these missions. Uh, and you have a dialogue option where Zero, he talks about Zero's psychopathy, and if you inquire more about it, you have options where you could say, "No, I'm not a psychopath. I don't enjoy killing" or whatever like that. And there are three of them. The game will not allow you to pick those. Like you can pick them, but Zero won't say them. Zero will say, "Yes, I love killing. It's the only thing that makes me feel alive, no matter what," because that's defined in his character, you know. And it's smart choices like that and smart writing like that I love about this game. It gives you choices, but it doesn't undermine Zero's character ever. It, you know,
100%. So yeah, like, with this level one, like when you first get introduced to the phone, you can like just cut off your handler, but like, you know, you like kind of get a gist of what's going on, but how you interact with the dialogue is how you're going to experience the story. And now that we're like, you know, this was my second playthrough and like finding new things this time around. Certain things I remember, it's like level one, right? You're going through, you find your target, it's the scientist, and like,
yeah. And you got to do an escort mission because everybody loves escort missions, right?
yay! It's not that kind of game.
No, I really love this moment because like you get this thing and it's like it's kind of standard indie fare to start with a little bit. You know, you're killing dudes. It's not that bloody though. Like you slice a dude, blood flies out, but it's not like
It's fine. It's perfectly fine.
it's not like Hotline Miami or some of those hyper violent indies like what's the one Carrion where you play as the space monster that devours people or whatever. It's fine for the most part. It's like an action adventure kind of a little bit to start with, and then you get to your target, you're about to rescue him, and then this Russian dude blows his head off with a remote detonator and laughs about how he's going to make a snuff film of that later. uh it's awesome. I love that opening. It takes away all presuppositions that this game's going to be kind of normal a little bit, kind of a normal sci-fi romp. Nah, bro, you're in hell. You're going to have a hell time, and it's going to be fun.
Oh, it's just so like carnal. It's great.
Yeah, it
And
reminds. Ooh,
yeah, it's what I
go ahead.
love about it too is like immediately just off the bat you're introduced to V. Like you don't get much explanation as to who he is for like quite a while. He just kind of shows up and just kind of fucks with you. And you're like,
Yeah,
"What's your problem, dude? Like I got a job to do."
what I was gonna say is it's very Tarantino-esque, where like the immense violence happens immediately on screen. Like I was watching Inglorious Bastards recently, and that opening scene, the violence in that one, where it's like just 15 minutes of straight talking, and then Londa gets the people to shoot uh the Jews hiding. Tarantino is very good at that, and it reminds me of his film work here, where like everything can be fine and normal and characters can be talking, and then suddenly it's just horrific violence immediately. It's very effective work, and it gets you really engrossed into the story, and it also sets up the world of how cruel the world within Katana Zero is, because this game touches on a lot of stuff. And I've been talking a lot. Do you want to say anything, Jack? Or uh,
Yeah, you've mostly covered a lot of like what I've been thinking in my head when it comes to this world, and like there's stuff I'll bring up later that will expand upon these. But
yeah,
level one, great level, like getting introduced into it. But then after that, um, level or
I
you get
did
to
want
the
to
end
ask
of
you
level one.
actually.
Oh yes,
Yeah,
please go ahead.
end of you're a big Tarantino head. Does that am I right? Do you see like some Tarantino
Oh,
in this or am I
I
wrong?
certainly feel that way. How it's like seems pretty tame at first. Like I think of the scene in like Pulp Fiction has the best
Yeah.
contrast for it, where it's like you know starts out with like a couple just sitting at a bar, and next thing you know they're like screaming and like waving around their guns and like sticking up the bar, or I mean the diner, I should say.
Yeah, yeah.
Like it definitely feels that way, where it's just like such a Like, "Oh, shit, it's happening."
I guess we're doing this now.
Yeah, like, "Alright, here we go." And then,
Yeah.
like, yeah, the rest follows.
Anyway, so we hit end of level 1, right? Zero is reprimanded a little bit that he couldn't save his target. Uh, and he's told to go sleep, I believe. Right? Go back home,
Yeah, go back
rest up.
home. It's all pretty routine as you play the game, like, you get into this, like, comfort with the first half where you go to your therapist, and he's just kind of, like he's a bit standoffish. You think it's at
He's a
first, it could
bit
be
weird
kind of
at first. You know,
yeah.
it feels like he's handling you like you are mentally ill, kind of thing. Like really dangerously mentally ill. Like, normal therapists don't.
It's not so
No,
confrontational.
not so confrontational, and they also don't have this hint of disgust when talking with you. This guy, even from the very beginning, your handler is always slightly disgusted. He says some things towards you that are later cemented at the end of the game, uh, which we'll get to. But he always has this hint where he looks down on Zero, your character that you're playing, uh, also known as the Dragon, until he's not. But
Until he's not, but he can be the dragon for now.
he could be the dragon for now. Yeah. So you go back home. You have this dream where I believe everything's grayed out except for you, and you're throwing a ball at somebody. Uh,
Yeah, hang on. It's so the dream adapts over time, like
it
like
does.
it's like fragmented dreams, like just going back and forth. What happens is I think you're chilling there playing ball with somebody, and there's like a blacked out thing in the right corner,
That comes and
and
chases you and tries to
yep,
kill you.
and then some. Well, no, it's there's something blacked in the right corner, but then like what is it?
Oh, the thing from the left comes in.
Yeah, there's a thing from the left that comes in, and then an even bigger thing that like morphs and lunges out, and that's when you like wake up and go back to therapy.
Go back to therapy. And here's where a big divergence can happen depending on how you play Zero. Like what interpretation of Zero you subscribe to. Because if you work with your therapist, you can figure out that that big black thing that attacked you uh, was actually a scientist. If you work with him and talk with a therapist and are honest about your dreams. However, if you just want your medication and move on, you don't figure that out right away. That actually gets skipped until later, I believe, in the
Yeah,
game.
exactly. I mean, like you'll always get your drug, but yeah, you can just be like, "Screw you,
Well, you
man!"
don't
Like,
always get your drug. We'll talk
oh,
about
that's
with that
true.
with the prison level because that's some cool shit. So the handler sort of sets up what you're doing. You get daily medication. They're trying to wean you off this medication. You don't know what it is yet. Uh, but it's blue and time seems to slow every time they stick it in. Like the music will slow down and chromatic aberration will be applied to the screen. It's a really cool effect. So already the player is sort of primed to be suspicious. Why is this happening to me? What's going on? And why is this guy handing me a dossier of someone to go kill? This isn't right. This is not what a therapist should be doing, right?
But who cares? Let's go kill a new mecha billionaire for a post-war reconstruction.
Mm-hmm. What is it? Josh Rose, right?
I think that's his name.
Yeah, that's his name. I'm pretty sure. Give me a sec.
I just know the name or the look of him, and I'm like, yeah, time to kill this guy. And so, yeah, with that, you like jump into level two. Now, before we get into like the rest of level two, I just want to say I love how this game like throws in some goofy moments where you can
It'd
like
be
interact with
super
the
funny when
dialogue.
it wants to be. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, dude, walking into the Murdower Hotel,
Murdower
everybody is.
Hotel, the murder hotel, and the receptionist thing.
I love her. I always love answering Pikachu for
I like
interaction.
I like the what is it? The Yu-Gi-Oh reference, the Seihi Saijo from Shinjo Card Battler Volume 7 or whatever. I love that dialogue choice because later in the game, I think you can act that out, like a Yu-Gi-Oh style card battle.
Oh, I
Uh,
think you can. Yeah, I did that one at one point. With I know with the Pikachu one, it's like it's always so funny because I'll just answer like Pikachu, and she'll just like kind of be like, "Okay, if you say so." But then like, but then at the end of the level, she's like totally on board with it. Where she's like, "Oh, he's post season 17 Pikachu."
Yeah. You know, if you tell her that Rash kills Musty as a spoiler, she'll be like really into you because she's like, I don't like spoilers, but please keep going. Tee. I
She's
love the
just so
receptionist
cute.
dialogue. It's funny.
It is hilarious. But
Yeah.
yeah, so you just see this poor woman and go about your business.
And I want to say, maybe it's because it's the second level, but I think that this is one of the peaks of the game for me. Like in terms of level design and the way it plays, I love the Murdower Hotel so much. This level is near perfect, and if you need a reason to like, okay, I think anybody will like this game. But if you play through this game, get to the Murdower Hotel, and like don't somehow miraculously don't like it, this is where you refund the game essentially because
Well, it
this
takes you
is
like 10 minutes to get there.
yeah, but this is like one of the peaks of the game in my opinion. Not that the other levels are bad, but this level is awesome.
Oh, absolutely. And well, also it introduces the mechanic of throwing items.
Throwing items, yeah, that's another cool mechanic. Uh, do you want to touch on it or
Yeah, yeah. So I think it was like a very smart choice because what is it? Like you're only given a katana, right? Like that's your
yeah?
primary weapon. Like all you can do is deflect bullets. But there's reason to go explore around like every single level and look for like key items that can help change the tide of the battle. Like so like giving you range like before like people can like fire guns or come up and slice you. Like if you got like three dudes right next to each other, like say there's an item, like you can throw one at one dude and then like you'll have a better odds of like getting through the fight. And so I think it does a really good job of encouraging more exploration around the level to try and like make that battle a lot more even.
Yeah, definitely. Katana Zero has this feeling a little bit of like it feels like playing Doom Eternal, kind of. That's the best way I can do it. Where you know the id Software guys like in playing Doom to playing chess, like fast chess, if that makes sense. Katana Zero is kind
Yeah.
of similar in the sense where like there are answers for every single enemy, and like you have to implement them as best you can. And part of the fun of the game is almost puzzling out the exact perfect route to take through in the least amount of actions.
Oh yeah. Well, and positioning is so important in this game.
Yeah, like
Like
Doom.
exactly. And I really appreciate for it. Like you just feel like you outsmart somebody when you find that choke point like
Yeah.
in a hallway or like there's like an opportunity to drop down from the ceiling. Like it's perfect.
Yeah.
But
Another thing that is established, because I'm assuming at some point in these first two levels, unless you're a god gamer, in which case, yes, you are a god gamer. Don't worry about this. You would have died. Uh, when you die in this game, Zero doesn't die because he has the power of precognition. We don't know how he has that yet. We will learn soon. But instead of dying, he just says, no, that won't work, and you reset. It's another thing that saves on frustration because you don't feel like you failed. You just no, that won't work, so I got to do it again, you know? Uh, and the other cool thing is it will show you on the VHS, not the VHS, in black and white, after you clear a screen of a level, it will play you back everything that you did. And if you did it in slow motion, it will speed through the slow motion segments because Zero's moving faster than the eye can see. Uh,
oh, okay. Wait. So you're telling me? I guess I didn't pick up on this. You're telling me it's not like I know he has like power over time in a way, but I thought it was like he simply died and he'd be like live die repeat, like go back like a little bit
no, 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 he
and then
never
just do it over
dies.
again. Oh, oh, so it's precognition. Okay, you're just playing out a way until you get it down.
Yeah, you're planning your route essentially.
Oh, this makes more sense. I thought it was like a simple case of like the post screen being like super hot.
No, see, because that's how some things work. Makes sense to me. Like when later in the game when V will trap that door, or when the suicide bomber will appear in the elevator and open up. There's no way Zero could have known those things were there to begin with. Zero has good intelligence, right? So with his ability, I don't think it's perfect precognition where he can see everything that's happening, but based on what he knows, he can make a proper estimate because he was a soldier beforehand, so he has all that combat experience, right? So he's making a plan and he's executing that plan and he's running through every possible plan in his mind, right? Uh,
Holy crap! This has made so many like or questions I've had explained all in one go.
so that's why he can get like trapped by V with the exploding door, and how V can kill Null later on. We'll get to it. I promise, viewer. I know I'm throwing a lot of sci-fi jargon at you. It will all make sense. I swear.
If not,
Uh,
read the wiki.
it's not... me when it comes to what the hell? If not read the wiki, me when it comes to Tekken, I'm gonna be so real. I cannot get that franchise. I
I
tune
love
out
that
after I hear
franchise.
the fifth Mishima or whatever, and the Demon Gene, or is it the Devil Gene?
The Devil Gene with
The
the like
Devil Gene.
eighth King of Iron Fist tournament.
That yeah, that's enough. That's enough.
Don't get me started on the number of jacks we've been through.
Oh my god. Anyway, so we clear out this Murdower hotel. We also get introduced to the one and only Strong Terry. He doesn't
Strong
show up yet,
Terry!
but there's some dialogue that you can't interrupt if you just keep playing through the game. But if you sit there and listen to the two skinny Richards talk to each other, that's what that enemy type is with the crowbar. Actually, no, they weren't skinny Richards. They're the two buff guys who look kind of like Strong Terry.
Yeah,
Uh,
they're like the beefy, like fist punching dudes. But like they mentioned Strong Terry, and like on
yeah,
my
they
replay, like I like kept close attention to the dialogue surrounding Strong Terry.
Yeah, they asked who would win in a fight, Strong Terry or the Dragon. And they're like, well, the Dragon's killed like 17 men single handedly with just a sword, but Strong Terry never skips leg day.
Exactly. It's just so like fun to stop like your mindless killing and just have a little chuckle in there.
Yeah, and then you kill them. But you get to the top of this building, right? And there's Josh Rose. And I skip a lot of this dialogue a lot of times because I always throw the rock at him so I can get the master key, so I can get the master sword even though I have it unlocked. There are secrets in this game, by the way, that you can unlock secret swords towards the end. One of them is not listening to Josh Rose and killing him. You also get special dialogue from your handler saying "Good job on eliminating him," uh, because if you do not kill him yourself, he will kill himself. After telling you that you are a mistake, they never should have created you. He feels sorry for you, essentially, uh,
He's just
giving you.
such a jaded man who's like just like, he's kind of accepted like what he's done and he's like at his end. And I really love like before he jumps
Mm,
off the top of the tower, he's like, I'm sorry for all the pain I've caused through you.
yeah, it's very interesting. Him as like a micro character because he's technically not important, but he does encapsulate a lot of themes in this game and like ideas that it's working with. One that the rich class, the upper class that we never really get to see other than him, uh, are sort of using people beneath them to fight their wars, and it's caused a lot of suffering. You can see the veterans in the third district later, and that poor other veteran guy, uh, the ones at the bar, and then the one who is homeless, as part of this commentary. Uh, it's got this very interesting, almost, I don't want to say Vietnam adjacent, but kind of Vietnam adjacent commentary. We'll get
You
to it
know,
with the Chromac
I
War,
couldn't
but
I couldn't help but feel that way. Like even not knowing exactly what happened with the events, I like the mentality felt very like post Vietnam like
yeah,
suffering.
disillusionment, you
Yep.
know. But it's also, cyberpunk, so there's a lot of the anti-capitalism stuff in there as well, where like Zero is broke, he lives in a shitty flat, and this rich guy on this huge hotel tower is above you, and has used you to advance his own ends. Uh, but he does feel sorry about it because he can see the carnage that he's caused. And you got to ask how much carnage he's caused then for this guy who,
Has
in
it
my
all.
mind, asshole jaded seems characterized as pretty bad, like a pretty bad guy. How bad is it? What horrible thing did he do that's so bad that this awful guy is gonna be like, Jesus Christ, dude, I really fucked up.
Yeah, I mean it's hard to do that to somebody. And now speaking of your dilapidated flat,
We go back to it.
We go back to it, bro. And we've had our therapy. We get enlightenment on the war. Turns out we have a service medal, and that's pretty dope. And so we take that service medal, go home, and all of a sudden this little brat starts like insulting you and says bye.
Oh, she's not a little brat. She's fun. She's cute. She's a sweet little baby. That
Nah,
was
she's
my
adorable. I love her. This is before you get to know her.
yeah. No, even on the first interaction, uh one, I thought it was a little bit weird. I'm not gonna lie, on my first playthrough, seeing the girl there. Uh it just did not seem like a place for her, if that makes sense. Especially with how clean she looked, like and put together, right? You
Oh
know?
yeah, absolutely. Like the girl just does. She sticks out like a sore thumb, and like even like you know,
Amidst the mobsters and like the snuff film dealers and like the shitty apartments that you're in, she always like she's very lampposted as special and important. Uh, but yeah, she talks with you. Think she calls your apartment a dump.
yeah, pretty much. She like there's
Yeah,
not much here other than like introducing her and like just kind of like showing she lives next door and
yeah,
she but like she kind of starts invading into your life, which will come
invading
more
into
as the
Zero's life.
levels yeah, as more as the levels go on. Zero
Yeah,
is pretty much a dead man walking. I think that can be easily inferred
yeah,
right out the
kind
gate.
of. Like, I wouldn't even necessarily say dead man walking, because it's not like he's consigned himself to die, but he's emotionally dead inside.
Pretty much.
Like,
Yeah, that's what I mean to say. Like emotionally,
yeah,
like just hollowed, and like he only knows one thing, and that's just killing him more.
kill people. Yeah.
Even if he doesn't know who he is, like that's all he has to latch onto.
The service medal is also brought up as important for him latching on. It reminds him of his service in the war, and we do get some confirmation that Zero was a veteran. He did fight in the Cro-Mag War, which is not the name that it's. I don't think we get that name yet. I also don't know if that's the official name for it, but I know that's who they're fighting. We are in a place called New Mecca. That's the area that we live in. Uh, and they were fighting against the Cro-Mags, is what they're called. I hope that's not an in-universe slur. I'd feel really bad if it was. But whatever. We live and we learn, right?
Yeah, exactly. But now that you bring up New Mecca, I did have this question earlier. So like it's a new Mecca, right? I wonder like I don't know too much about like Middle Eastern and like Islamic history and culture. But when it like does Mecca have like any kind of like special meaning to it? Like isn't that where like their
There's a
pilgrimages to?
pilgrimage to Mecca every year. Yeah. It's the
Yeah.
city that I believe laid down its arms to the Prophet of Muhammad uh, peacefully, and he established that as the seat of Islam. Uh, and it can be used in like everyday speech as sort of like a that's his Mecca or something like that. Something really important, a place that you go to and pilgrimage to as like a goal kind of thing. New Mecca would imply that it's like a new seat of power, if that makes sense. A
Exactly.
new
Yeah,
seat.
that's what I wanted to bring up because like
Yeah.
they had to like what is it? Like clearly the last one wasn't working out or like somebody made a change of some sort that's like just a radical shift in culture.
Hmm. Yeah. It's an
Yeah.
interesting idea, and I guess I didn't think about it that hard. So it's important to think about. I definitely agree.
Yeah, I don't know.
Uh,
I only asked this question just because I find it interesting as somebody who attended Catholic school for like 4 years.
no, it
You know,
is definitely interesting, and it
it's
helps.
kind of like Old Testament versus New Testament in a way. Kind of gives that
Yeah, a little bit.
feeling.
It it helps like identify the world as this is the place to be almost. Like the bustling megacity, the one that's huge, the bastion of humanity almost. But we do not get to see the bright lights. Well, we do get to see some bright lights, but we live in the third district, the worst district, the one with the junkies and the poor and the starving and the homeless. Uh, we are not allowed to be anywhere near the nice city because we are not a nice person to an extent. Uh,
Yeah.
it could be commentary a little bit on how we are not allowed to be nice to an extent. Well, one, Zero is a psychopath, but two, you get to see the unfairness And Kane and Lynch 2 does something similar as well, where you're playing these two sociopathic, psychopathic characters, but you can still be struck by how unfair it all is for the people living in the squalid areas where they go and cause chaos and shoot up for the orders of men in better places, essentially, on the orders of
Yeah.
that.
Absolutely, like, it's all just riffraff here, and so, like, if it hasn't been made clear now because, like, you just invaded a rich guy's place, now you're invading on level 3, Electrohead's, disco club.
A disco club. Yeah, we go back and we get told, we get our service medal, we get told some exposition, not a lot, but we get told specifically to not talk with Electrohead because he's a known pathological liar, this guy. So you start clearing out the club and you accidentally kill Strong Taylor. It's not Taylor, Strong Terry. Very
I
sad.
know, not Strong Terry! Dude, it's so tragic, even the skinny Rickies who, like,
Mourn him
mourn him, they're like well, I love the initiation
as
one,
well,
but
yeah.
I love how it ends off with him being like, "Oh boy, I can't wait to tell Strong Terry," and he's dead at this point.
Yeah, it's sad. It's really sad.
It's so sad, but,
And
I love
yeah,
how, like, they introduce, like, new, like, another level mechanic of, like, hiding behind people and objects, like, away from cameras and, like, supervision.
yeah, I thought that that was gimmicky, but like it's
Kind of, I think it plays well into one of the secret unlockables.
yeah, no, it's the savant knife that you're talking about, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it does teach you that. I just wish it wasn't in the game. It makes me angry every time I do it because
Oh,
the
you have to
gameplay is so
stop and just
perfect.
wait.
Yeah, it's a mood killer. It's the one thing that I don't love about this game.
Yeah,
But
I mean, at least there's smoke bombs to kinda help with that.
oh yeah, and I will say this level's awesome. Aside from that, love the club with DJ Electrohead. I love the club beat that they do. I think it's called "Hit the Floor." Uh, Fun song, great song,
Oh,
and
yeah.
you end up just clearing through this level, stabbing and wailing as you go. It's a great level, flashing lights, really pretty. And then we get to meet Electrohead, and this guy is interesting. He gives you a few things that are very important. One, he gives you a name to a drug that well, that's if you don't kill him immediately. If you kill him immediately, your handler's pleased with you and you don't learn anything.
Which I did my first playthrough.
Did you actually?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, that Kronos must
I
have
I
come
mis
to it
I
as a shock
misclicked
to
the
you.
space bar. I misclicked the
Yeah,
space bar.
fair enough. When did you learn about Kronos then? Like, when would that be taught
Ah,
to you?
it was definitely, like,
Later
once
than
I got
expected.
later a lot later than expected, like, more like towards the Null facility.
Oh my, that's interesting. So you wouldn't be able to put pieces together then. You'd still be in a state of wonderment a little bit.
I'd be like, "What is this drug?" But I wouldn't be able to place it until, like I wouldn't have any sort of, like, possible explanation until I
Well,
got to the
yeah, and
Null facility.
you can't interrogate the therapist either that well if you don't have the Electrohead stuff because you can't ask him what is Kronos, and
Exactly, like,
he'll
all
tell you
those
what it is.
possible things are just cut off.
Yeah, that's really interesting and cool. My first playthrough, I interrogated the fuck out of that guy. I wanted to know exactly. I got told not to talk with somebody, especially since at the end of the level, before you talk to Electrohead, the therapist will call again and they'll say, "Don't talk to Electrohead," just over and over again. And you're just like, "Okay, dude, I'm gonna
It's
talk
like,
to him
"Shut the
then."
fuck up, bro." Like, "Did I ask?"
Did I ask? No. I'm gonna break the rules and talk to Electrohead. So you talk with him, and he introduces some important things. One, Kronos is a military grade drug that he got out of a government storage locker that he's been taking, and it makes time go all weird for him, slowing down and shifting around essentially. Uh, Number two, he doesn't think you're real at first, which shows that Kronos can cause hallucinations or visions of the future, which is really important to know for certain scenes coming up. So after you interrogate him a little bit, eventually he tries to cut a deal with you to take you to the government location where he found the stuff. But before you can go with him to do that, he gets shot in the head by the Russian V, uh, who killed your previous guy, the scientist. I don't think he's ever named.
No, the scientist is never named.
Yeah.
But yeah, like once again, like V just pops up a bullet or like whatever, like offs your target first, and then V just kind of laughs and he's like, "All right, have fun with the boys," and he just books it out.
Yeah, but I don't think he even has dialogue. I think he just runs out after shooting them. And your therapist will comment as well on. I don't think I touched on this. Josh Rose's death, and if you let Electrica get shot in the head, he will know it's not you who did it. Your higher ups won't care because the job's done, right? But your
Yeah,
therapist will say, "This is shoddy work. I know you didn't do it." Uh,
exactly. It's like he's
anyway,
clearly closely monitoring you.
yes, he's clearly closely monitoring you, causing even more red flags to raise around this guy. Uh, at this point in the game, if you trust the therapist, I think it's kind of valid, but like, I was leaning towards not trusting this guy. I'd still ask him questions though, but I'd play it a bit like
Standoffish, like
not
hold
standoffish.
or like hold stuff close to your chest and keep
Yeah,
stuff
yeah, yeah.
away.
I was trying to get information out of him, if that makes sense. I treated it not as I trust you, I treated it as this information I'm willing to exchange for more information, if that makes sense. You know?
Yeah,
It became more of a cat and mouse game, which is really cool that the dialogue, which is not really changing, the choices aren't changing, but like the context surrounding it and the story for the player and what information you can retrieve can change entirely how you interact with it. It shows that the story is really well written, that it allows the role play to come almost naturally in your head of putting yourself in Zero's position.
right. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
It's I don't know. It's like this level is just fun for the most part, and you can definitely get some story beats from it.
it is. Yeah, you do get a lot of story beats. So that happens. You go back. You go to sleep. Does the little girl bother you about Behemoth here?
She okay, yes. So I can talk about this part.
Yeah,
So you go back, you drink your usual tea, and right before you go to bed, the girl knocks on your door, and she comes in and bothers you about how Leviathan's missing her friend Behemoth,
yeah.
or it's the other way around.
Or no,
Either
it's
way,
Behemoth's missing Leviathan because
that's right.
you have the
Yeah,
whale in your apartment.
that's right. Yep. And so she comes in, and you're like, "Really, dude? Like, I'm about to go to bed and whatnot." And it turns out she actually does. You do have Leviathan in your apartment, which I'm kind
Yeah,
of like, how does she place this here? Like, what's going on? I was kind of bewildered by that at first, and so, but I mean, it was charming. It's like you're truly like beginning to know this girl. She's
yeah.
like, "Why
It
did you
is.
take him? Either way, look after him for me."
Yeah, it is charming, and you are getting to know the girl, and that's like the charming part about it. But what's really weird about it as well is the fact that it's there to begin with. Leviathan. Furthermore, Leviathan will come into your dreams now, I believe. Uh,
Yes, yeah. So that dream that night, and I was actually about to mention this too. As she leaves and you like lay down to sleep, like you like flop down on the couch, but then like the screen glitches and then you rise back up just to lie
yeah.
back down. And
Yes.
then yep, and then in your dream that night, you've discovered that it's a scientist who's like the one shouting at you like a warning. And so you're
Yeah.
playing with Leviathan. He comes in, warns you, and then
I
you
think
like
the
hide
little
under the
girl
bed.
turns into Leviathan in your dream, right?
I think she does. Yeah, you're playing
Yeah.
catch, and she turns into Leviathan as the scientist gets shot. You grab her, go under the bed, and then like silhouetted figure who shot the scientist goes up to a machine on the right.
And it nearly explodes. That
Yes.
is very important. Furthermore, I want to point out, since you talked about this, Leviathan and Behemoth are both characters from the Bible. Old Testament, I believe Leviathan is a giant creature that Michael fights, I think. And Behemoth, that's I think that's more Arabic mythology, and he's the
Uh,
bottom followed by Phallic. Uh,
Behemoth was an invention of the poet who wrote the Book of Job.
oh, perfect. Yeah. But more biblical imagery to follow, like New Mecca, which technically isn't biblical, but it's Abrahamic. I should be saying Abrahamic imagery. Uh,
Right, yeah, which is interesting to think about. I didn't
yeah,
really consider this game religious at all.
Well, it's not. I wouldn't say it's religious. I would say it's using religious iconography. A lot of the time, sci-fi will do that to draw parallels to new ideas, essentially, like old gods and old ideas converging in the modern era to an extent. Or it's commonly used metaphor. Uh, you know, uh, calling something god has a lot of connotations that you can explore in a sci-fi thing. Not saying that this is anything other than a cute reference yet, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see more imagery like that in the DLC or more like that because it would be in keeping with themes and it would also play into a lot of the theme, not themes, a lot of the idea later of mankind playing God that we see in this with the Null Project and cloning and the Zero essentially being a god in and of himself. He can see all of time, live
Yeah,
infinite lives.
exactly. Man-made God in a way, like what the
Yes.
scientists were trying to strive for. Um, moving forward, like being called the dragon, like having this huge title now of your own.
Yeah, oh well,
You,
your therapist does not like you being called the dragon. He wants
he's
some
like,
goddamn discretion.
I know he's like, dude, stop boosting your PR. Like, we're not getting you a sponsorship, so I don't know why you're trying to like
Bro,
make yourself public.
I don't know why. NordVPN is not coming, okay? Shut up.
Raid Shadow Legends, it will not be at your doorstep.
Raid Shadow Legends does not care.
So yeah, with level 4, this is where it truly takes a flip on the script. You show up with your mission, and everyone's just McFucking dead.
Yes, this is a cool level because beforehand you can get more information story wise about Kronos and what it is. Kronos being a military grade drug that Zero was given. Zero was a soldier. They don't talk about anything about the Null Project yet, but he was a soldier given this drug. He was already super strong and good with the blade, but the drug enhanced him to the point where he could slow down time and see beyond time. That's what you can learn from the therapist. However, if you're just a uh, little rascal and you say, "No, I don't want my medicine," over and over again, "I don't want my Chronos," uh, you will get a completely separate mission. Not separate. Actually, it is kind of separate. So it's the same level, but it's a different objective. So we can go back to the level, Jack. Now.
Oh yeah, so I would like to hear what you're about to say in a
Oh.
second, but essentially, like, yeah, you show up, all the guards are dead. You go in, you're looking for a military tribunal prisoner as your
Mm-hmm.
target, and you
Thing,
find a
I believe,
cell.
or
Yeah,
Fang.
Fang, that's it. And so you show up to his cell, and he's just already dead. Like he's been drowned in the toilet, and the cops pull up outside, and it's just a matter of you need to get out of here. And so there's two ways you can take it.
No,
There's the
not
murder
Fang. It's
everybody
Fa
way.
Yuan.
Oh, right, yeah, Fa Yan. Well, either way, you can murder your way
Fa
out,
Yuan.
or you can take the super difficult approach of actually trying to stealth past everybody. In which case, you'll be rewarded with a special sword, which I think is
Uh,
the Claymore sword.
the Claymore sword. I think you are right, but you could also get something special, special dialogue from Tragedy if you refuse the Man in the Silver Mask. We haven't touched on the Man in the Masks because they're not here yet, though there was one that appeared in the Mordower Hotel reading the paper. You can see his sprite there, which is very interesting, and it leads to important theories that we can discuss later. Uh,
Ooh,
yeah. Tragedy will give you dialogue. First, the dossier you'll get, instead of normal stuff, it will just say kill, 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 over and over and over on it. Uh, which is really cool. It puts you in Zero's mindset a little bit because he hasn't had his Chronos and has such strong withdrawals. He's doing the one thing that he knows he can do. And then Tragedy is going to go over the phone and he's going to tell you, I think the silver moon of death hang loweth over New Mecca. Shed blood, O errant heart. Kill everyone who comes across you come across. And if you do, I think you get the same Claymore key. Not positive, but you do get dialogue from Tragedy as well, congratulating you on what you did. Uh,
right,
so
yeah.
yeah, so it's really cool how dialogue again has an impact, and it's subtle. It's not like a Telltale game or like a Bethesda style RPG where like you pick option, you know what the option's going to happen. If you role play the character right, you're going to get completely different playthroughs, uh, which I think is just ingenious story writing and great game design. Uh,
But it
Personally,
also just does such a smart thing where it's like the ending is pretty much there's only like two like true different ending moments.
yeah, it
But
funnels you
like
down the same ending, but the steps to
exactly.
get there are different, and you figure stuff out differently as well at different times. It's really, really well written.
So well
Now,
written.
on the end of the fourth level, we go back to the apartment, right?
Yep, back to
Is
the
the
apartment.
girl
The girl
there?
yeah, she's there. So what is it? She's like she's waiting for you and she's like, uh,
Oh
hey,
yeah.
somebody gave me this package, it's a movie,
Oh
wanna
yeah, it's the
watch it
VHS
together.
tape with the
Yep.
torture scene. It's so good. I mean, that makes me sound like a psychopath. It's spooky. Don't get me wrong, it's definitely like really spooky and like not a good thing. But the scene is just so like gut wrenching and cool. It also shows you the effects of Kronos and withdrawal. So you would notice that your noisy neighbors are gone. They aren't making noise anymore, and I don't think they've been making noise since the third level because I
I
think
think
it's
so.
set up beforehand.
Right, yeah, 3rd level, and then, Noise Neighbors, and then not after that. And so you, like, put in the tape, and the little girl's watching it there with you. But as it
Yeah,
goes on, like, B just busts down, like, these potheads' doors, and he's, like, just like, torturing them to all hell with Chronos pumping through their system. You can see, like, time slowing down for them, and, like, they're just experiencing the torture for, like, much, much longer.
yeah. One thing that he says that's very important to notice is that they'll be stuck in that moment forever. They may die in the physical realm, but they will be slowly having one of them, the blonde-haired guy, is having his fingers ripped off with a pair of pliers, I believe. Uh he'll have that happening to him for the rest of eternity. That's what withdrawal of Chronos is, essentially. If you are out of the drug, you are stuck in that moment of time forever. Uh, and you can't die. Your consciousness is still there, essentially, just in pain.
Yeah,
Uh,
it just sounds like hell.
it's terrifying. It is hell, essentially. Uh, Furthermore, V will say some important things here that he really respects the dragon, which is what he thinks you are. That's the nickname that you have. And that you're a living legend, a serial killer among serial killers, essentially. Uh, and it's just like this suitably grimy thing. I want to ask your thoughts on V. We'll talk more about him as well as we get to his scene with, his scene.
With, like,
Uh,
the limo and stuff.
Not even past the limo. I'm talking about his scene after the helicopter thing.
Oh,
Uh,
right, yeah. So far, I really like V. And it kind of goes into the next level as well. Like I can kind of segue it. We move on to level 5, and from there, we hop into the limo with V after we find out our therapy's been closed. And this is truly where we get to have our like first real conversation with him.
and
He's
he's
got like
awful.
oh dude, he's so bad. He's got two baddies like right next to him passed out, like high on cocaine with him.
I think it was ketamine actually. I think they
Was it
name
ketamine?
dropped. Dude, I genuinely think he name dropped ketamine before it was like big, like the big thing.
Oh damn. This game
Yeah.
was truly ahead of its time, you know? It knew where
Yeah.
the future was going. But yeah, so like he's talking to you and he's like enamored with you. He's like, "You're the freaking dragon, bro!" Like, "Oh my gosh, it's you!" Uh,
Yeah. If you could tell this guy was messed up already, he essentially suggests to you after doing a bunch of cocaine to make a snuff film with the two girls he's got, like murdering on tape. I love this antagonist so much. Like V is so charismatic, but he's also just so awful. Like
he's
there's
just
unabashedly nothing redeeming about this guy. This guy is just
a sicko.
gross, awful, terrible. Every word that comes out of his mouth is filth, but he's captivating to watch. I love him.
Exactly. He like carries himself like he thinks he's an artist, which is why he makes the snuff films and does what he
Yeah,
does. And so, but anyway, like, of course, Zero's not having it, and so, the screen glitches out, and all of a sudden you're on the street outside of his limo, and he like
Mm.
pulls away. And so, this
Before it does,
level.
though,
Oh yes,
V
please.
says some. Not V. Zero says something that will come up again because it's something that he's been told, at least in my mind, a lot. He looks at V and he says, "You're fucking subhuman," and then he gets thrown out.
Right, he
Yeah.
insults V,
Mm-hmm.
which
But with
is
those specific words as well, uh, which is gonna happen later in the game.
absolutely later on. But he this time on the receiving end of it. But we'll get to
Yeah,
that.
we're. Mhm.
Yeah. But and so this is where the level starts. You go through into a film studio. V thinks he's gotten away, and so you
You could
chase him
also
in.
start without your katana if you decide to do cocaine with V and let him cut the thing with your katana.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's rough. That's so
Mm-hmm.
rough. Oh, I
On
gotta
hard
get that
mode,
back
it's
from
like
them.
impossible.
I believe it. Yeah, yeah. Don't give up your katana, please. You can still do a bump of cocaine, but nonetheless, you chase him into the studio.
Yeah, do coke. That's fine, but
To
don't give up
coke.
your sword.
Don't give up your sword to make lines. Just because you need that to cut the Silent Hill reference that's in the studio.
Coffin head. Yeah, there's a Temple
Coffin
of
head.
Doom, a Space Odyssey, and a Silent Hill
Wha
reference in this level.
Yep, that there is, which
That's
is
what the minecart
charming.
is, right? It's Temple of Doom. It's not like
I'm
Donkey Kong
pretty
Country or
sure
anything.
it's supposed to be Temple of Doom. I'm pretty sure.
I'm pretty sure too, because it calls it something Doom or whatever on the bottom one.
Yeah, something like that. Either way, the Silent Hill one was the one that stuck out to me, but I got the Space Odyssey reference.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, anyway, you get through this level, and then you finally confront V. He's just chilling in his chair. He sends his two dates out, and then from there you have a fight. And this part's fun because like it's a
Yeah,
constant like back and forth. Like you get some blows, but then he'll like just ram you, and like the
I
fight will
had
go on
to.
where you're just re-looping.
I memorized this one super hard. You roll past, hit, roll, hit. You got to hit his back,
Yep.
but you have to have a little bit of weird timing on it because if you hit too early, he'll just grab your sword and throw you. So
Yeah.
it's a good fight. Another thing, I think dates is a strong word because these women were like people he was going to cave the skulls in of earlier. He offered to murder them with you. Like,
But they seem chill with it,
you
like
know what? You're right. You're right. Murder's okay as long as they're consenting.
exactly. They didn't leave.
Mm. You know, morally, that's a weird one.
I wonder how this would pass in ethical dilemmas.
Can you like really consent to being murdered? I don't think you can.
I don't know. That's kind of like
Anyway, who
assisted
cares?
suicide in a
Moving
way. Either
on.
way, yeah. Past
I'm
this
not a
depressing topic.
philosopher.
Fuck
It's not
that.
depressing. It's interesting. It's just I'm not a philosopher.
Me neither. I'm not
I
freaking
play video games,
Aristotle.
man.
Yeah, here we are playing Katana Zero,
Just
discussing
play video
philosophy.
games. Anyway,
But yeah. So anyway, the fight goes on. So fun.
mhm.
This is one people have to experience for themselves. But all of a sudden, the fight gets interrupted, and
By
Snow
this
comes
ninja
on screen.
lady. Yeah. Well, I don't think
Yes.
we know her name yet, right?
No, not yet. But
But
I
this
mean, like,
this ninja lady in a kimono with this sword comes out, dropping sharp rose petals. And if you're slow on the draw, uh, I think
she'll call
she'll
your
say
form
something
sloppy.
different. Yeah, call your form sloppy. And if you're fast, she'll tell you what school. I think it's Shinkaga Ryu style that you
Yes, and then
use.
at the end of the game in the credits, it'll affect the thing where it's like she mentions it later to their
Hmm.
superior, where it's like he didn't even
Just another
flinch.
cool little detail. It's this game is full of them, and it's amazing.
Oh yeah,
Uh, we cut then after this to
the
we go
Halloween
back,
segment.
yeah, home to the Halloween segment, and this is just sweet. You also find out that Zero is a freak. He keeps raw fish heads in his fucking fridge. like a more not a moron, but like just like a weird guy. Another later, all he'll have is protein powder in his fridge. Like Zero is like a gym bro's gym bro, man.
Just drinking tea and eating the most like absurd
Awful
caloric
shit.
things.
Yeah, which
Oh god.
not to spoil too much, but that means the little girl's cooking was really that bad. You know, to make
I
someone
can't.
like Zero gag.
I can't even blame her, bro. Like,
The quality of her ingredients were bad. We'll get to it. We'll get to it. But that should be the tagline of this episode. We'll get to it. We
we'll get
swear.
to it. I promise. We're not just going in circles this whole time. We're getting there.
Yeah, we're moving. We're moving. So
That we are.
this little girl says trick or treat essentially, and you give her, if you're lucky, Choco sticks. If you're unlucky, fish head. Uh, and it's really sweet. It does a good job of endearing you to the little girl character. Uh, then you go to not episode, level 6, right?
Yep,
Uh,
level 6. And so, like, after like doing some endearment with the little girl, at this point, like Zero's
you
starting to feel like some emotional attachment to her.
definitely
And,
100%.
and so it's at this point that the game subverts itself. Now that you're starting to feel those like human connections for once. That
Yep.
comedy and tragedy enter the scene.
And they drug you. They drug your tea.
Yes. Now, I'm guessing are comedy and tragedy like they got to be part of his mind.
We'll get to that towards the end. I'm of the opinion that they can be and they cannot be at the same time. They could either be. There are two options here. Either A, they're manifestations of Zero's mind, or B, they are scientists from New Mecha who have been working with Kronos long enough that they know the ins and outs of it and they know how to harness it better than Zero, which would be kind
Oh,
of a terrifying implication. Uh, because Zero already being a gamma null, which we'll get to, but the null project, which gets revealed later in the slaughterhouse level. We'll discuss this, but the null project was essentially a super soldier project that Zero was subjected to make the perfect warrior able to utilize Kronos and precognition to perfectly predict the enemy and destroy them. They were essentially gods to an extent, uh, living in time. When do we get the cathedral hallucination? Is it after the 6th level?
I think it's
Uh,
after the 6th level because because right now you're talking to the Men in Mask and this is where they first proposed the option of the gold versus silver mask, one being
yes,
life.
this is a
And,
cool choice as well. Do you want to talk about it?
yes, let's come back to this choice once we get to Chinatown because that's where
Chinatown. Okay, so all that they set up for you though is that there's a silver mask of death and a gold mask of life, I believe.
yep, and your time is
I
ticking.
didn't mix them up. Yeah, and you have 3 days left, and the game has been counting down days till judgment, essentially. Uh, that you have.
Exactly. And so now like that's weight on your conscience. You go to therapy, and but the thing is like you're glitching in and out of reality. You see
Yeah,
V as
it
your
skips
therapist
through
for
the
a second.
whole. Uh,
Yeah, the
wait,
whole
doesn't that
session is
happen?
just no, the whole session gets skipped here too.
Yeah, it
Like
gets skipped.
because
You see V as your therapist. You're tied to a chair, right? If I remember correctly.
yeah, you're tied to a
Yeah,
chair.
it's
There's like
a
an explosion, and then you flash back to therapy, but you also lose another sense of reality, and like the therapist and girl are slaughtered.
yeah.
And you're down there on the ground in shock.
I also think it does another fun trick where you start the level that you're going to be playing, the mansion level, and you keep starting it over and over and over and over and over again as well. Do you remember that?
Oh yes, I do remember that.
Yeah, that was awesome. It was really really jarring at first playthrough, and it always gets me on every playthrough where I'm like, yeah, the withdrawal is hitting Zero hard. And eventually, because he missed a day of treatment because of V, eventually the therapist will give you that and he'll say, your 1,000 yard stare does not beget confidence, or something like that.
Yeah,
Because you haven't been paying attention to him the whole time.
yeah, you're just like this glassy-eyed junkie.
Mm-hmm. Zero's a
Yep,
little messed up right now.
that he
Uh,
is, but he needs answers, and so he goes to the mansion level.
yeah, he's
Uh,
tasked with killing the creator of, well, not one the creator, one of the main perpetrators of Kronos, Al Qasim, I believe, is his name.
yeah,
That's
it's
your target.
Al-Qasim, yeah, and he's like the one who funds the project.
Mm-hmm.
And so as you get through the mansion level, you're looking for your target. V is like interfering with a lot of things because he's trying to get there too.
It's a very good
Turns,
level conceit.
yep. Did you please go ahead?
No, that's all I'm saying. Sorry, no, no, no.
Oh, oh, okay, yeah. No, it is a very good level, and it's not one of the most like memorable levels, but it does have like the defining end to this level where it's you do get blown up in the face, and all of a sudden,
Before that, I do want to talk about. I love the lighting in this level so much. When the lights go out, it is the prettiest level, hands down. All the shadows and the lights on the people, with their flashlights.
oh
It
yeah,
is so cool looking.
it's so nice just to dip in and out of the shadows.
Yeah,
But
it really makes you feel. A lot of the game makes you feel like a samurai, but this level makes you feel a bit like a ninja. Not the Fortnite streamer, but like the
like actually lurking around in the
uh,
shadows, waiting to pop out.
later on in the game when it gives you a gun, then you feel like the Fortnite streamer ninja.
Exactly. I love, dude. When I got the gun, that shit was so funny.
Oh yeah, it's the best gag in the game. We'll get there,
Just
we swear.
we'll probably gloss over it anyway, but essentially it's a segment in the game where you pick up an item and it turns out it's a gun. And
Yeah, it's a
like
gun. It's
Zero
on a
holds it
pedestal too. It's got shiny lights. This is your
Zero
direct
holds it
upgrade.
up.
Yeah.
Like, "Yay, the upgrade I've been looking for." And you use it and he threw the gun.
He throws the gun and it impales somebody in the head. It's genius.
It was great. I audibly laughed in that part.
Yeah.
Yep. But
That's in the
so
last level of the game as well.
it is. It's like it felt like a needed upgrade, and then you just never get it for the sake of a gag, and I love it.
Yeah, it's
But
it's awesome.
I I need to talk about this interrogation scene.
Okay, we do. So first things first, I think we talked about this at the beginning of the pod, but the reason why the door trick worked is because Kronos is not perfect precognition. Zero can't plan for things that he has no knowledge of whatsoever, you know? Uh, so you get blown up, right? And you get
Yeah,
knocked unconscious, and then you're tied to this chair, and you're seeing V. And I'll let you take it from here.
yeah. So you see V, he's up in your face, and like he's just kind of like getting up in you, and it's like we could have been together, man. You're the fucking dragon. Like, what are you doing? Anyway, I don't have a time for all this bullshit, and he like just keeps shooting you. But with like each like loop through, depending on the dialogue options, it's going to whittle down the options more and more because you're learning more information as it goes through. To eventually you figure out like the right options to get under his skin and be like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
don't be late for your date, V,
Yeah, it's
and things like, and
so
he's losing it.
it's so cool being able to loop back and sort of Groundhog Day your way out of this situation where you like get to try dialogue and you get shot in the head a lot, but eventually you find a way to push his buttons and use the dialogue system. Actually, the red version of the dialogue system to get under his skin. You interrupt him. You start playing on his insecurities because V, again, shitbag that he is super insecure about himself. I think it's part of what feeds into his killing thing. He wants to be the big man on top, and any sort of threat to that is going to make him lose his cool and either try to kill them or do something like kill Al Qasim, where he does before he gets the idea of where Kronos is being manufactured, which
It's an
loses you
ego
information
thing.
too. It's an
Yeah, it
ego thing and a
does.
control thing for him.
Absolutely. He loves this control. That it's such a pompous feeling, and I think it fits so well for him. But,
Mm-hmm.
pissed off, he walks away. Then it's up to Mr. Kissy Face to kill you.
Yeah. What did you think of that kissy face boss fight?
I thought it was pretty solid overall. I mean, like, didn't overstay its welcome.
Yeah, I thought it
It
was a really solid boss fight too.
absolutely like the whole like
I
grinding
wish.
weapons against each other.
Hmm. I wish the hard mode patterns were the base game patterns for it, because I think that boss is really well designed in hard mode.
Yeah, but I'll, I
But
do appreciate the variety.
yeah, no, it's a really good. Katana Zero is very good about mixing up its gameplay. Speaking of, by the way, uh, we get to a motorcycle chase where you're
Oh
playing
yes.
essentially a. I don't know what type of game it's called. I've played them in
Uh,
arcades before, where you've got the motor thing and you're like shooting on the motor bike at people. I don't know the game's name, but I've seen it in arcades. Essentially, it's like an
oh
arcadey
yeah.
style game. It's really cool to play that. Before that, of course, you escape. You find out there's a scene where V talks with Snow, saying how he eliminated you, essentially like that. And Snow congratulates him, saying there was no remorse in your eyes. Like your Zero is like a straight up killer, terrifying guy. And then she leaves him. You get her name too. She leaves him to go report to her higher ups. And you also find out that those rose petals that she disappears into are razor sharp. Because V's like, fuck, don't ruin my new tracksuit with your sharp ass rose petals.
Yeah. So fitting of a Russian.
So fitting of a Russian. Well, do we know he's completely Russian? I thought he
I'm
was just
gonna
like,
say part Russian at least. He's at least some kind of Slav.
no, he's definitely Slavic. I thought he was like Eastern Bloc coded, right? I don't know if he was like exactly
Maybe
Russian.
Eastern Bloc. I'd say Gopnik is the right
No,
word.
wait, I'm wrong. Later in the game, it says the Russian's dead, I think.
Yeah, the Russian is dead. He wants
Yeah.
to be a Gopnik, which is like a Russian gangster.
Yeah, definitely.
Yep.
Definitely. I could see this man blasting. We forgot to talk about in the limo. He's blasting hard
Oh, the
bass.
hard bass. All too fitting. All too
DJ
fitting. Ah,
Gnotman was in his fucking
I actually
car.
introduced DJ Bletman, Suga Blit to my Russian teacher yesterday.
What did your Russian teacher think?
She she was dying of laughter. She was great.
Nice. Nice. See if you can get Tripolowski to be played before a test. It'd be
Oh, I would
perfect.
love that.
All right. Anyway,
But
aside from the hard bass tangent,
so we do this motorcycle level where you get gunned down by like a helicopter just
and
firing
I
an
just
absurd
realized
amount of missiles.
you get essentially two boss fights in one level: Kissy Face and the helicopter.
Oh,
Uh,
true.
yeah, it's a really action packed level. Eventually, you run down V on the road, and what I love about this scene is that V is still himself at the end. A lot of times when they kill off bad guys or like have them lose, a lot of shows will do, and like stories in general, and it's not that this isn't satisfying, it is the satisfying route to have like the villain be like a sniveling pathetic mess to an extent where they're like, oh no 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 no, my plans have fallen apart, I'm crying, I'm sad now. V's just like, fuck you, you know how many people, how many gnolls I've killed. One of the lines, it's so good, I got shot 5 times by a gnoll sniper. I walked over and I wrang his neck like a fucking dish rag. He is like pissed,
Oh, he's so
and he's
pissed,
in.
but it also feels like he's trying to cling on to one last little bit of control.
Yes, he is clinging on to control. It's a little pathetic, but it's also like perfectly in character. It's not like he's groveling or reduced to a sniveling mess. He is still V at the end,
Absolutely.
making threats and all that. It's great. And then he gets his arms chopped off, and like the big reveal happens where it's like he says, V says, "The dragon. Well, then I'm the fucking dragon slayer," or something like that. And then the
And then the
screen
real
fades.
dragon shows up.
The screen fades to white, then red, and then no, fades to black. Then white text comes up and says, "He's not the dragon. I am." And it goes white to red as this guy, this blonde-haired, tall swordsman, comes and he cuts off one of V's arms. You run away. Then he cuts off the other one of V's arms and picks him up, saying, "It's time for interrogation, fucko." Essentially, he doesn't say those words, but
But yeah, his intentions are made very clear.
mhm.
Yep. And so from there, it's what is it? Zero's had a rough day, so level 7 starts to kick in with the bar. Zero like
Uh,
decides to just get shit faced and
Before the bar, you get chewed out by your therapist over the phone. He says, "What the fuck are you doing? So many deaths, a helicopter crash, so many bike crashes on the biggest highway in New Mecca. Uh, you're in trouble, big boy, essentially."
oh yeah, like you just get chewed out, but you don't care. And so like you're at the bar and you're in this
Yeah.
drunken state. It's like a war vet bar. And so this is where we get more of that Vietnam like interaction with the war, like these hostile vets who like are like very upset over the post-war mentality.
hmm
Um
Another
I
important
mean,
thing, they say
yes.
Zero looks too young to have served. They say he
Right.
probably picked up his service medal at a pawn shop, which is very interesting.
Which
They
I
also
think
bring.
it's
Hmm?
probably Kronos like has such an effect on his body that he just doesn't age
I actually
like
think
that well.
he was a child soldier. I think that's the implication.
Mm.
That would make sense to me,
Oh. I
right?
mean, that makes sense. I mean, but, like, then at the end of the game I mean, granted, I don't know how old Zero is, so I can't say for sure, like, how weathered he looks.
Yeah,
But, yeah, either way, like, it's something that's, like, questionably brought up.
yeah.
It's like
It makes me.
he does not fit.
He does not fit, but they respect him for listening to their stories anyway about
Exactly.
specifically child killings in Cro-Mag, which caused people in New Mecca to say this is not the way to go. Uh, we can't support this war anymore. Uh, if the people in the first district hadn't bitched about the child killings and the super soldiers as well, who were committing war crimes, they would have won the war, according to the veterans. Which is very similar to like some post-Vietnam angst that a lot of certain vets would have, and just regular civilians. I've heard my granddad, who did not serve, talk about how, oh, we would have won the goddamn war if the hippies hadn't started protesting the Vietnams. You know,
Oh, yeah. So,
actually, not my
some
grandpa. Sorry, my great uncle, or not great. We call him
Grunkle?
Pa. I guess he's just an uncle. Yeah, my granddad's awesome. My living one is awesome. If you find this, uh, no, I'm not using your name because of anonymity things on the internet, but you're awesome. I love you and grandma.
Yeah. You know,
Anyway,
on the topic of like soldier like sentiment, uh I'm in a military environment
yeah,
that
yeah,
like, talks a lot or like environment where there's military people. I should phrase it that way, just
mm,
being at school. Um like my grandpa or like talking to more of like the retired people
yeah,
uh is really interesting just because like I have an understanding of what they go through. Not that I'm like serving or anything
yeah,
at this point in time, but I'm at least in their environment enough to understand like kind of how the culture is, and it's enough for them to be able to connect and like want to tell like these like stories that like most people just don't get. And I think that's the appreciation that comes because my grandpa used to fly for the Air Force. And
yeah,
there was things that got declassified, and he had daughters growing up, so he never really like talked much to them about things. Like he told some, but not all. But then, like, with me and especially my dad who, does a lot, like, of similar stuff to that line of work that my grandpa used to do, he would just go on and on and on and, like, just get such enjoyment out of telling, like, these old stories and, like, reminiscing in a way that relates because not everyone can relate.
yeah.
These are people in a way like, everybody from war is out of time.
hmm It's it's a good scene, I think. Uh, and it also sets up alienation for Zero as well, because we know for a fact he did serve. Also, we did skip the cathedral scene because it comes up before
Oh,
you wake
right.
up
Duh.
with V. So, reversing in time, because I have to talk about the scene, it's one of the coolest in the game. Before you wake up tied to the chair and do the V interrogation thing, you get a flash forward or a flash backwards. You can't really tell, but there's dialogue that I want to read verbatim. Uh, 28 years in that godforsaken jungle. Killing soldiers wasn't so bad. I hardly remember it. But burning those villagers, watching those naked peasants cry, I see it every day. It's not PTSD, it's the drug. It's only been a week, but it feels like a year. Every word is getting longer, the mosquitoes are getting louder. When the drug runs out, time stops, and you're stuck in the jungle forever. It's grains of sand in a shrinking hourglass. I know what comes next. I need to ask you a favor. That is some of my favorite writing from any game ever. I love it so much. It's a perfect encapsulation of Kronos and everything that they're going through. And the scene itself, you're walking past these stained glass things of the original sin with Adam and Eve. It reinforces that biblical imagery to an extent of giving Kronos as this sort of original sin to these people. It's an ultimate condemnation of them. They are stuck in hell. They may be gods in the moment, but eventually when they die, they will not rest. They will always be in the worst moment of their life of burning like innocent people alive, essentially, or being tortured. Like, it is a perfect piece of visual and story writing coming together to create like a perfect moment. There's another one that's coming up as well on the rooftop, which is near perfect as well. But I love this moment. What do you think? I know I yapped a lot about it, but
Yeah, I like this scene. It's I forgot about it for the longest time because there's so much of this game that like just spectacled like the gruesome carnage, but this scene is just such like the pure white that you're surrounded by is just such a stark contrast. And I think the words speak for themselves. Like I love the scene.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I also love
Going
that line because it can't where it's not PTSD, it's the drug, for instance. Because like with Zero being as unstable as he is, if it's Zero saying this, because there are theories that are credible that it could be someone else saying this, like 15 or something, that he's seeing into the future. But if it is Zero, it makes sense that he doesn't have PTSD because he is a psychopath to an extent, right?
that
Or
he
at
is
least
one,
his
also he doesn't
PTSD,
have his memory in a way.
yeah, or his PTSD would be different, right? Because
Right.
psychopathy, I believe, is a lack of empathy, where sociopathy is a lack of emotion. Uh, so it's interesting. I like that contrast.
As
Anyway,
do I.
enough
He's not
talking about.
regretful.
Yeah, I don't. He doesn't. Well, he does strike me as remorseful at times. It's interesting. He's an
Remorseful, but
interesting
like
guy.
I don't think he'd like go back into the past and necessarily change much.
Yeah, because I don't think he knows how to change, and that's where we'll talk about it more when we talk about the girl. Uh,
Right. Which coming up,
yeah, a
you know,
level
you get
7.
back from the bar, you're in a drunken state, and you see the girl, like, you can't really make out what she's saying other than, like,
She's begging for
maybe, like,
help. You can make that out a little bit.
a little bit. You don't know the context, but you know she's, like, in distress, whether it's about you or something else. It's like, what's going on? You wake up the next morning, turns out she's got an abusive father and friends, so there's a reason
Yeah,
she comes to visit you so much, and so, like, it just kinda helps to reinforce, like, you take her under your wing, and so you
yeah.
welcome
You
into her
make
home
sure
and leave
she
her there.
has a. Mhm. You make sure she has a safe place to live, and she, for the rest of the game, will be in your apartment. Uh, she tidies it up as well later. Where I'm skipping ahead, past level 7, which is
That's fine.
Chinatown. But you go into the therapist's office uh, for Chinatown. I'll get to the clean room later. So we get the scene with the girl, and she lives at your place now because her dad is a shithead. Awful guy. You go in, and the therapist is chewing you out, and eventually he gets to a point where he's like, the media is taking to calling you the dragon. You know what they should be calling you? Fucking nothing. Do your job with some goddamn discretion or whatever. And I think the only option to answer is I am not the dragon or whatever. And I
I think
ran into
so.
yeah. And then you start telling him more and talk about your encounter with the dragon. And he shifts focus. He gets really interested into this. And he changes your target from what you were going to the dragon. The real dragon, not you. the one who cut off V's arms, he becomes priority number one to be killed.
Right. Yeah, and so yeah, your target shifts. You go about Chinatown looking for him in his back room
Yeah,
storage.
but in order to get to the back room, you have to get past Lenient Larry.
Lenient Larry, bro. Oh,
Yeah.
I there is mention of Strong Terry in this level.
Yes, there is. But you have to get 100,000 chips, and you get to do another little fun dialogue scene where you use your Chronos powers to cheat at poker and win, not poker, at roulette, and win a shit ton of credits so you can go to the back room. It's a fun little segment. I don't got much to say about it because I think it's a little less developed. If I'm going to offer some criticism, I think it's a little bit less developed than the interrogation scene.
Yeah, it's kind of like
It
a one-off
feels
thing.
it feels a lot more gimmicky in comparison to that scene. That scene is near perfect. I love it. This scene feels like if you take it away from the level doesn't change. It's not really a big thing. It's fun though. It's like cute, you know.
Exactly. It's like, oh, of course you could do that. Like, why wouldn't you be able to?
And it does give some fun flavor to Zero. So like I'm not saying remove it from the game. I like it enough. I just think that it's ultimately superfluous.
Oh yeah. But and then ultimately, do you know what does become super
What
and
becomes
maybe
super?
fluid? All
What?
the blood on the walls from the cops that you killed in this level.
Oh yeah. So what happens? You go to the back room of Chinatown, right?
Yeah.
And you run into uh the dragon and this other character who's unnamed, but we'll be referring to as Headhunter because that is her name. I don't think it's ever really revealed in game her name, but that's what the community has called her. Uh, Correct me if I'm wrong, Jack, but I'm pretty positive she never gets a name.
Oh, I believe you. I just call her like some kind of assailant.
Yeah, the community calls her Headhunter. I like that name. I think that's also Justin's own word for her on Twitter, but don't. I'm not. Look, I've uninstalled that hell site from my phone for a long time now. I'm about 8 months clean of Twitter. I'm not going back on it to check. So Headhunter it is for right now. um,
Headhunter baby.
so they're talking about how all these people have to die, and Headhunter is talking about how she doesn't have much time left. Little mysterious, and it makes you start to think that maybe these guys are like you, and then you get confirmation almost immediately when you fight Headhunter. You kill her, go to the next screen, and then when it plays out saying, yes, that should work, right?
Yep.
She blocks your blade, and she says, what, I killed you. And then you realize, oh my gosh, there's other people like me. And the dragon's probably like me as well. She escapes with the dragon, and then the police are left to get you. You also grab a tape that the dragon was talking about. It's a prison tape. Uh, it's information that you need.
Yeah,
Anyway,
right.
you have a big kerfuffle with the police, killing a lot of them trying to escape, until eventually you get to a unwinnable situation where you are surrounded by at least 10 to 15 enemies. Something that, like, even if I was playing the game, I doubt I could do because most of them are like shotgun dudes and riot shield people, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, maximum fours.
Maximum force. And they also have those annoying ass drones in the sky.
Oh yeah. But either way, there's an intervention.
A divine intervention, one might say. Time stops, and like there's this field of stars behind you, and tragedy and comedy come beside you. And these guys are the men in masks who drugged you earlier. I don't think we touched on how they talk. Tragedy talks very Shakespearean. He says, for thou art an errant heart, you must don the silver mask of death and wreak havoc ere upon thine enemies, or whatever. Comedy is a not
He's like,
Shakespearean at
yeah,
all.
kill them bitches.
Yeah, he's like, let's kill these mother. Let's not let's. You should kill these guys. It'd be so funny. He's kind of like the Joker, except not really at all. I hate making that comparison.
It's if the Joker thought he was in a play.
Yeah, no, it's like if the Joker was like writing a play,
Oh yeah.
but he's like he's not like Heath Ledger's Joker. It's like Cesar Romero's Joker, but way meaner, if that makes sense. Like he's a troll. He'd be on 4chan in his spare time. I feel like, you know.
Oh, absolutely. But either way, this is where you get your choice: gold mask or silver mask.
What did you choose on your first playthrough?
I chose okay. I knew the correct answer was silver mask, but a part of me was very curious, so I clicked gold mask just to see what would happen, and sure enough, the game just ended itself.
Dude, that's what I did on my first playthrough too, and I thought it was the right choice because the choice is essentially if you don the silver mask of death, you will wreak death upon your enemies, right? But you will harm everyone who's close to you, including that little girl. If you wear life, you will die, and you will die permanently. They make sure to let you know that the Chronos in your system is low enough, and they're powerful enough or whatever that if you die here, it is done. You are not suffering withdrawal. You are just dead. The story is over, kind of thing.
Yeah. So yeah,
Uh,
I chose gold on my first playthrough.
Me too, because I thought that was the right choice. That means the girl gets to live. That means the death ends. People get to be happy. But then immediately I reloaded the game and went for the other mask, the one that lets you
Oh, of
continue the
course.
game.
You got to play the last 4 levels.
You do, but I love this choice because I think you get an achievement too for choosing it as well.
Yep, you do.
But I love it because it's a very good, not a very good. Sorry, I'm blanking on words. Give me a second.
No
Uh,
worries.
you talk about it for a second. Give me a moment.
Yeah. Yeah, this choice is a very good like well, I mean, it's like a threshold point. I don't know if that's the best word to use in this
Yes,
instance.
yes, that's it. It's a good point to end the story, and I think it took a lot of balls to be like, yes, the story can be completely over here, and that's it. You don't have to see any of the cool conspiracy stuff that I've got going on or whatever. You can choose to do the good ending here. It's kind of like here's what I was going to talk about. So I love Spec Ops: The Line. Great fucking game. Very good commentary on anti-war stuff. Uh, I hate the people who say that it is bad because you don't have as much agency in it. You do get a lot of agency in it, and like they're like, oh, it's bad because you can't choose to use white phosphorus on civilians. But the point is that the fact that we use white phosphorus on civilians in video games is bad. You know that we uncritically following things is bad. But I do get the like on a base level, I get the criticism of like saying, "Oh, you can just stop playing the game" is like bad, interactivity because everyone wants to play the game. I feel like this is a very good way of doing that thing where, oh, if you want good things to happen, stop playing the game. That form of commentary.
Exactly, just end
I
it.
like it. I like it being in game instead of a choice of like open menu exit game, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
That being an
exactly.
in canon thing is a little bit better than that, I think.
Oh,
If
I
you get what
absolutely
I'm
agree. It's
saying.
like no, I agree because like what it's like with the Hideo Kojima thing where it's like right and turn off the game and blah blah blah.
Mm.
Like it's cool, it's neat in the moment, but like in terms of like how like characters feel, like it doesn't feel so like disjointed.
It doesn't feel as impactful, I would say, as being offered the choice yourself. It's not like I think it's more impactful to choose it in game to terminate itself than to physically take yourself out of the immersion, pull you yourself out of the emotions you're feeling, and then logically hit the start button, scroll down to exit game, and then click the uninstall button. I think
Exactly,
that
because
that's less effective.
that's just not fitting in my opinion. Like
Yeah.
because like yeah, there's a narrative commentary there, but also like this is so much better because Zero has so many different interpretations up to this point now with the
Yeah.
dialogue that it's like okay, well, how much does he care about the little girl to you know
Who is Zero and who are you as well?
exa- exactly? It really makes you ask like, well, does this fit? And like in my mind, I'm like I can see him making either decision.
Yeah. I definitely can too. But we have to go off of the one that gives us more stuff to talk about. So
Of
we don
course.
the
So
silver
the
mask of
cops
death,
die.
and
Everyone
a shit
dies.
ton of cops die. Like there's a lot of bacon left up on the on the street.
Light Yagami got his death note out and just
I'm
murked
going
them
to hell
all.
for that one. Yeah,
Oh, good lord.
For the FBI, we love police officers. There's no animosity whatsoever. I love the government. I love
Hey,
the CIA, the FBI,
Joel,
every.
these are all crooked cops. Keep in mind, all of them are
Oh,
crooked
they're all
cops.
crooked. Yes, yes, all crooked. Not
Because
part of our
remember,
glorious
the cop was talking about Strong Terry at the beginning of levels, who was a criminal.
crew. So yeah, so they were involved with the mafia. I love, I love the police. I love the ATF.
The good
Please don't hurt
ones.
me. We're good. We're fine. Please don't.
Hey, his words, not mine. Either way, in universe,
No,
they're all
no, 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 no,
crooked
no, no,
cops.
no. If I'm going down, you're going down with me.
No,
I'm getting your clearance revoked, motherfucker.
no, don't do that.
Anyway, sorry, that was dumb. Anyway, aside from poor, bad jokes on my end, we're gonna brush right past that one. Let's talk about level 9 through 11 because technically level 12 is not really a level. We
12
get
is a
back.
bonus. Well, wait, we're at
Yeah.
level 8 now. Yeah, so
Oh, we're at
uh,
Dragon Tape. I'm sorry.
yeah,
We
but
get
there's
back.
not much to talk about
Oh
with
no, there
Dragon
is
Tape.
because it's the best fucking level in the game.
Well, okay, fair enough. But I mean, in terms of plot, like,
Oh yeah, you learn a little bit.
yeah,
You get back and you talk to the girl who has cleaned up your house, and she asks if you can go watch some cartoons. And here's where you find out that Zero has some interesting taste. He likes old samurai movies. He got some tapes in at the video store that he goes up and brings back, and they end up watching like this really standard, not standard, but like really good like parodied of like an old martial arts movie, martial arts samurai movie where it's like I'm trying to remember
just
the names of the guys, but it's like you die now, father. Taste my attack from hell. And it's yeah, no, and exactly it goes in the
just over
dialogue.
the top.
It's over the top shit. Uh, I love
And
the influences of this game when it pays
of course,
homage to stuff.
and this girl is just like so queasy by it.
Yeah, and then you can like say some really sweet stuff like "Don't worry, I'll protect you" or whatever. It's great. It's great game design. Uh, Not great game design. It's just a really sweet moment because
Oh yeah,
yeah. But you wait for her to go to bed, and once you go to bed, you insert the tape that you got from Chinatown, and you get to play hands down the best level in the game, best music, best gameplay because you're not playing Zero anymore. You're playing the Dragon, otherwise known as 15. Uh,
and
and
you're just shredding everything.
you were shredding dudes, and he's not able to throw things. No, what he can do instead is teleport slash dash. It is the most fun, dude. I'm gonna
Oh,
be
it
so
feels,
sad if we can't play him in the DLC.
dude. It feels like freaking Dark Slash, where it's like it teleports
Teleports
behind you.
behind you.
Nothing
Nothing
personal, kid.
personnel. It's great. It's great. So you go through and you find out that that prison level where everybody was dead, that was 15's doing. He murdered everyone in there to get to Fa Yuan, where he starts to extract information about potential targets. He talks about Al Qasim and Josh Rose. Well, no, Fa Yuan talks about Josh Rose and Al Qasim before getting him information about Leon von Alvestein, I believe, uh, someone to look for. And he's doing this under the pretense that hopefully he'll be spared. 15 has none of that. I believe the line is for making us this way, for making us into monsters, for making us fight your wars or something like that. You all have to die, kind of thing. And he kicks him in the stomach and drowns him in the toilet. Uh, it's pretty
Yeah,
hardcore.
it is super hardcore, and I mean, it's evident like that. He wants revenge on the people who like did this to him, and also who
Yeah,
did the Null Project.
yeah,
And so
it's starting to put things together. You're
it is,
starting to.
and if
Nope.
it
Go.
hasn't already, level 9 really draws it all together because this is where you do find the Null facility for
Yeah,
testing.
this is where you go through Leon von Alvestein's fun little dungeon. Uh,
Yippee!
the slaughterhouse level made me a little bit mad on hard mode. And by a little, I mean a lot.
Oh, I can
Speedrunning this
imagine.
on hard mode was like the worst. I would not wish it on my worst enemy. It was good though. No shade to Justin and his work because he does great work. Uh, just pissed me off, man.
Well, think of the what is it? The 93% dead alpha null.
That was me. I I was an alpha null there. What we learned though through this is that the government had financed a project called the Null Project. It was a super soldier project where I believe children were given Chronos and forced to be trained in like war. It reminds me a lot of Metal Gear Solid 2 with Raiden and the Patriots, you know?
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
where Raiden would be essentially given a bunch of combat stimulants and trained in VR training to be like this perfect child soldier. Uh, he was also forced. This is just off topic, but I think he was forced to eat like bullets and shit from a young age. So he got like I don't know what was the word that they used. Stimulated sounds wrong, but I think that is the word they used. Like it sounds sexual. I don't think it was, but like with
Stems.
Kojima, you can never know. Okay, like
That man
have
is a fiend.
that he's a freak and a fiend, and I love him.
in all the endearing ways.
Like in all the endearing ways. He's the creepy uncle that you want in your life, okay? Because he says cool things and makes cool movies
You're
and
like,
games.
yeah.
Yeah, just stay at arm's length away from the women. No,
Yep.
I'm actually in real life. Kojima is very nice. Apparently, like one of the nicest people. So he just makes his fictional characters do weird shit.
Yeah.
Uh,
Either way, we go through this level. We get a televised broadcast from the director of this whole thing.
yeah, and he
And
gives you the
so
exposition about the Null Project.
yeah,
Uh,
you undig your history. We don't have to delve too much into that. I think
yeah,
just
we
because
can. So
we
the
can.
thing
It's mostly
that's
exposition.
important, it's mostly exposition that we've covered already. We covered the Null Project a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Government thing. It was eventually taken off, though. It lost government funding because the war was unpopular. And Leon Alvestein is kind of pissed off. He also calls you guys bad product. He thinks he fucked up when making you, if I remember correctly.
Oh
And
yeah.
he
He
wants to
he
make
thinks you're
another
a
batch.
failure. He thinks
Yes.
he's a failure.
I don't know if he thinks
Yeah.
he's a failure. I think he thinks you guys are failures.
Well, either way, he says the project was an overall
A
failure.
failure. Yeah. I don't think he strikes me as a man with a large ego. Uh which is kind of interesting. You see this like running theme with the bad guys in this game kind of the ego, the hubris in them. V was filled with hubris, Leon's filled with hubris, the therapist, the handler, he thinks he's better than you the entire time. They think that they're better than Zero. Uh it's sort of like playing on this theme of like man thinking they're better than God to an extent.
Yeah.
Because Zero
Like
is a god in a way, you know. And I'm not religious, but like the idea that mankind, you don't have to put it as God, but like a universal thing that we are the apex and that no stone is like sacred, that we are allowed to do just anything we want. It's a very like nihilistic thing that these villains got going on where nothing is sacred, everything is profane, and they
oh
are in
yeah.
charge of everything.
Well, it's like what is it? Even the therapist, like in the end segment of the game, calls you fucking subhuman.
Yeah,
Just like he
exactly.
did the V. But like,
Mhm.
I mean, you're bottom of the bottom trash who lives in the slums. Like your life is not that good. But I mean, like, so you go through this level and you uncover more about what the Null Project was, who you were. Turns out, you were a child soldier. Um,
Well, I don't know if it's confirmed that you're a child soldier. That's just how I read it.
well,
I
okay, highly implicated that you were a
because there's
child
another
soldier.
theory with all the null tanks that get thrown around. You know, those people in the tubes.
Yeah, they're all
Uh,
null.
well, we think that they are because they might be bathing in Kronos, and if they are, then people are being cloned.
Oh, I see.
That would
Okay,
make sense, right?
I think that would. Yeah.
So there's two sides. You can choose whatever you think. I'm on the child soldier side, but like,
I
you know,
agree. I agree with the child soldiers, but I can see both being having some merit. But I mean, either way, I mean, like the
we also
snipers.
learned about the classes of null as well in this,
Yeah,
where there's alpha, beta, and gamma null. Gamma null being the strongest, and we are more than likely a gamma null because they had 100% survival rate of
where's
yeah
Sigma Null having a 0% survival rate?
sigma null, more like not sigma because they died. Got them.
We
No
did it,
skibbity
guys.
riz for them.
Well,
God.
either way, the director of the project, you get to the end of the level. He blows up the Chronos, but then you go further. Turns out all those monitorings you saw, he wasn't actually sniping at you. It was just pre-recorded.
It was pre-recorded. He had a turret doing all his dirty work. This guy, Leon, I kind of dislike him, but I also respect him because he knows how to troll. And trolling is a lost art these days.
Well, we troll him back by opening up his cryo tank.
Yeah, and he turns to dust in front of
Literally.
us. No, quite literally, yeah. It's almost like he was standing in suspended time, like his time was frozen, which could be interesting to play around with. I wonder if we're going to see any of that in the DLC, like more ideas of people being trapped in time, because you can be trapped in time with the withdrawal, right?
Yeah.
But Leon was quite literally physically trapped in time, but consciously still active. It feels like maybe.
Yeah, exactly. Like he had some kind of like motive that, or like something he was holding out for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Either way, you learn your past. Uh, what else is there? I think that was mostly the big thing here. Oh, and then this is the level where you go up to the roof with the girl when you get back home.
yes. So we should probably talk about that a little bit. Uh, we get back to the girl, and Zero actually talks for like one of the first times ever. After she says she wants to show us something, because I believe that the therapist calls you angrily, saying like, "Where the hell were you?" Before that, he chewed you the fuck out again for killing a bunch of police officers, saying he can't help you if you don't help him, essentially. And then you don't show up for therapy, and he's like, "What the hell? What the hell, man?" Mer, 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 you know. But the
Don't touch that
girl,
photo of my family on my desk.
not yet. But the girl takes you up to the rooftops, and you get to see the city writ large. And this might be my favorite instance of pixel art ever. It used to be my desktop background for a long time. It still gets switched back to like regularly, and I think this is the best track in the game for me. Panoramic Feelings comes on. It's this perfect melancholic, nostalgic, slow synth that
Oh
makes you
yeah.
feel simultaneously safe yet incredibly sad. It's amazing. Uh, and you're up there with the girl, and you're just talking, and Zero is actually opening up. He throws away his service medal because he can't trust his memories to an extent. He doesn't know everything about himself, but he knows that what he did is not necessarily, at least the way I interpret it, not necessarily something he's proud of and not something that he owns. He looks to the girl and he throws the service medal away, and it's one of my favorite lines. He's like, "I have other reminders now,"
Oh
because
well,
he's
yeah. Well,
talking about
because
how the
the line
before
before
that,
is
yeah,
it reminds me that no matter what I'm doing, it reminds me that I did something good once.
good ones, yeah. Apparently, he also hasn't taken the medal off in 5 years, which is gross. But
It was nasty when he showed the
yeah,
vets.
yeah.
Like, have some class, guy. Like, come on.
Yeah, it just proves that Zero's a freak. Let's be real. Uh, like
Oh yeah.
the what are the Jin Alpha memes, like the Freak Bob meme or whatever?
Oh no.
That Zero.
Oh.
What if instead of Katana Zero is Freaky Zero? Well, we don't have to wonder that because he's freaky. He doesn't take off his fucking medal.
Just so fucking gross. Wears the same
Yeah.
robe every day.
Oh my god, dude. Imagine it. We're getting sidetracked, but like, imagine third district. We've been there. He's rolling around all the time to dodge bullets. He's
Oh,
probably rolling
dude.
through like shit a little bit, you know,
Like
shitty
puke,
rainwater. Yeah.
beer.
Gross stuff,
Oh,
beer, cigarette dead ends, dude. Oh my god. I just realized his house doesn't have a shower.
oh shit. That's so fucked.
Dude, he probably smells like death.
No wonder the therapist sits across from like 10 feet away.
Yeah. You know what? Maybe he was right. Maybe the therapist was right.
He is
Stinky.
subhuman.
Stinky Zero. Stinky Zero.
Stinky Zero. Either way, um, you throw the medal away, and this sweet scene comes to an end, and the girl
Oh,
mentions the men in
more.
masks returning.
Yes. I wanted to talk about that. Yeah. It's so sweet because you promise to protect her, essentially. You promise that she's going to be safe and okay. And spoiler alert, she's not. But
Nope, nope, nope. And
nope,
this
because
that's
you
where
chose
level
the
10
mask of
comes
death.
in.
Yes.
Yeah, it's Judgment Day now.
And Judgment Day, you get sent out to the bunker, right? You don't go back to therapy, right? You just go.
Uh, yeah, you just go. So judgment happens, and right as you leave, the girl gives you Behemoth as if leaving a part of herself behind. I
Yeah,
realized.
it's a good luck charm for her a little bit
Yeah,
to
as
you
a and Behemoth will be on that journey with Zero to kind of like
because
watch over
Behemoth was her
him.
protector, but you're her protector now, so she trusts you fully.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, you move on to the laboratory. It's time to put an end to this whole project, and you run into our favorite concierge again.
Yes, and you can have a Yu-Gi-Oh card battle if you pretended to be the Yu-Gi-Oh stand in the Murdower Hotel. If you were Pikachu, you
She
just
tells
get
you,
to
"Carry on, Pikachu. Thank you so much." And I really enjoyed season 17.
yeah. And if you used Riz techniques, you can get her number. So
Oh, this is true.
yes, it is true. Now,
But,
I may be gay, but I have gotten her number a couple times because it was funny. I swear.
oh, it's so hilarious. I love doing it. I'm in a relationship, and I'll still get this woman's number. And
Yeah,
then she's
gotta
like,
get the
"All
Riz
right, have a
techniques.
good one. Go descend into our crazy lab, like
Go
several floors
descend into the
underground."
bunker. Yeah. So you go
Yep.
down, and this level is really cool because you don't get the VHS until the very end when you hit the bottom. So each elevator is a new screen, and you slay through everybody, and like it still says that won't work. But instead of immediately after the next screen not giving you the VHS, it cuts, and you keep going down. The VHS is one continuous thing at the very end, which is really fucking cool.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
the level design's good here. I like running this level. Eventually, you get to the bottom where there's surprise, surprise, a suicide bomber
Boom.
uh, who explodes you. Another thing where Zero's precognition could not have picked that up because who the hell would expect a suicide bomber there?
Yeah,
No
I would
one.
not. So the explosion knocks you out, and you get knocked into your nightmare again. But finally, the shadowy figure that's been invading your dreams turns out it's the headhunter, or at least what
Mm,
looks like the headhunter.
it
Same
doesn't look
uniform and
like
everything,
same uniform. It has the same uniform as the headhunter, but
and
it
the mask.
distinctly yes. That's part of the uniform, though. I think. I
Yeah,
think that's
I
part of the
probably
uniform.
yeah. I mean,
Uh,
it's hard to perceive who it is, but like I mean, that's like
No, they do have black hair. You can see that immediately. So you know it's not Headhunter, but somebody like Headhunter. So you can assume it's a null.
right,
Especially with the dialogue that the scientist says, where he's like, run, null here. And then he gets shot in the head. And then the null blows up the computer. And then
right.
leaves. Things are becoming more clear now, uh, but it gets spelled out towards the end.
It-
We also get a cut from the bomber, right? To tragedy saying this is the first act's climax, and the comedy's like I can't wait, tee hee tee hee, or whatever.
Whatever he does, and then like suddenly, you make it to the boss fight at the end of this level.
Yeah. Well, you go through first the hell gauntlet of going down the stairs. That one took me a minute. It's
Oh
the most
yeah.
satisfying run though. Now, when you like get good at it, it's so satisfying going down. I think it's 12 total stairs down, but I'm not positive. It might be 8.
It's something ridiculous.
Yeah, but it was great. And then the final level is just like the game throwing everything it's got at you, and it's a wonderful time. I love Bunker Part 2. Might be, well, if Dragon Tape didn't exist and Murdaro Hotel didn't exist, that might be my favorite. Like,
Yeah.
if I had to rank it, it'd be like Dragon Tape 1, Murdaro Hotel 2, then Bunker Part 2, number 3, as my top 3 levels in this game.
Oh yeah.
It also
I
has
mean,
the gun gag that we talked about earlier.
it does have the gun gag in it, which I was pleasantly surprised. But
Mm-hmm.
I kind of want to get to this boss fight now. Do you want to talk about the boss fight at this level?
I'm gonna let you talk about it. I've got things to say about Headhunter. I love her a lot, despite not having a lot of screen time. But I want you to cover this for right now. Yeah.
Right, yeah, so I can set the stage. So you get to the bottom of it all, and you fight against the soldiers. You fought so hard to get here. Finally, you're confronted by Headhunter. Turns out she and 15 are the last of
Mm-hmm.
the Null Project besides you. Uh, and you don't
Well, they
recognize.
think that they're the last of the Null Project survivors. We don't know
Oh,
if
oh,
there are
fair,
more
yeah.
because, well, we do know now because of Twitter. There are apparently 2 other Null Project survivors. But yeah,
Not in the know though. Like
yes.
these are the ones who are actively like putting a stop against Kronos.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not gonna work out that way. And so you don't recognize the uniform. She questions you, like, I mean, you're one of us. Like, why aren't you to know about this? Like, what's going on here? Like, shouldn't you know? Either way, they exchange a little bout with each other. Of course,
And then the floor
Kronos is in
blows
their
up.
blood. Yeah, the
Yeah.
floor blows up after some fighting, and it's just so personal. And it's like, you know, she's like, "I'll kill you like over and over again, and I'm gonna drink the
Yeah,
Kronos out of
that
your blood if I have to,
only
because there's no more
happens.
left."
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I like that so much because you tell her that we can work together, but she's like, no, I'm in withdrawal right now. And she has this line, another thing that plays on it. Uh, and I think it summarizes a lot of the feelings this game has towards war to an extent with these characters as well. They're gods. She says that we're gods, but we're slaves to a drug. I think she says that rich men, make essentially. We could be
Yeah.
doing anything, but we are chained or whatever. Not the exact words said, other than the we're gods part. She does say that verbatim. So it's like confirming a lot of the biblical imagery and stuff like that, and the idea of the hubris of man to try to create God. Uh, it's some cool stuff. And no matter how sympathetic you are with her, because you can be really sympathetic with her and she'll be sympathetic back, but she says, I have to do this. I'm in withdrawal. I can't be trapped in hell, you know? So you
Oh
get this
yeah.
super personal fight. It's pretty easy, in my opinion. What do you think?
It's not too hard. I mean, it gave me trouble on the first time, but like I've done the speed run so much, I know her attack patterns. Like if she
Patterns
jumps
now,
up,
yeah.
roll. If she if she disappears, like back off, get ready to roll a bunch.
But the OST for this one, Full Confession, love that song. So good. Uh,
Oh yeah.
it's also really fitting in terms of name, and I think thematically used. Like, this song might not be the best. I like Panoramic Feelings a lot. But in terms of use in the game, as well as with the name being what it is, I think it's perfectly used because this is Headhunter's full confession to an extent to another one who can understand her. She's at her lowest. He is like the perfect encapsulation of what will happen to somebody who's been used and abused by the system, discarded away, and then forced to try to survive. And in the game's fiction as well, she's the perfect example of the Null Project. She's fully confessing to be an animal to an extent, like controlled only by the drug. And it's sad. It's her life story dissolved down into a few seconds that stretch on into an infinity because of precognition. It's really cool.
Absolutely. And just that moment where like you've defeated her and she's like crawling towards you and it's just like
And she
infinite.
says, kill them that did this to us. So good, dude.
Oh yeah.
And then you
By
have
the
to cut
way,
off her head for the
yeah, and
retinal
then
scanner.
open the door. Which this segment right here where you go in, you're not sure what to expect, but there's like a wife or there's like a woman and two kids there, and like you're like starting to trip out. I think you're in withdrawal at this point, and
You are.
all you're trying to do is like, what is it? The dialogue options only give you like the option to
Kill them.
kill them, and it's like just red flashing across your screen, and Tragedy's like standing behind you, like trying to force this.
Yeah, and it's your handler who wants them killed because they're the remainder. I think they're Al-Qasim's kids.
Probably, I would assume
Yes,
it's
they
part of his
are.
family.
Yeah, because your handler was sending you to go there, to kill him, to eliminate people who know about the Kronos project,
Yeah, tie up
uh,
loose ends.
tie up loose ends or anything. And you see, more importantly, that little boy there, and Zero makes a choice that you don't have control over because you, the player, can only pick kill them. Right? Zero chooses not to. He runs away, which is very interesting. I think. Uh, it shows that he has limits. And it also shows, in my opinion, that the little girl has been building him back up to humanity to it a bit. I think if you threw this at the start of the game, Zero would kill them, no hesitation. That's my.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah.
This girl has clearly played to his sympathies,
And
and
him unlocking his memory as well of that traumatic day, uh, where we're still under the impression that Zero is the kid playing with the ball.
oh,
But
absolutely.
I'll skip ahead a little bit and say Zero's the null soldier who blows up the thing and shoots the scientist. That's revealed at
Womp
the
womp.
very end of the game. But he spared a child then. He spares a child now. You know,
Oh yeah, it's
it's
quite fitting.
fitting. Uh, so after this moment where he runs away, leaves the things alive, the handler's pissed off. He's like, "What are you doing? What?" But you don't care. You know,
Just
you
fucking
go
murder that son of a bitch.
you go back and he's like freaking out, and you start laying into him. It's super satisfying after he's been talking down to you the whole game. You're like, you knew my dreams were real. Why didn't you tell me? Why did you lie about Kronos? Why did you lie about this? And eventually he like snaps and he's like, I think he says some bullshit like, you're a fucking junkie or whatever. Get away from me. And you pick up the rock, the ceremonial rock that he got. It's a message of wealth, something that Zero could never have, something that the poor of District 3 could never have, or the veterans who are wasting away in the bar. And he beats him to death with it. Sort of like a very literal eat the rich moment where it's
Oh
like, you
yeah,
know, and it's really cool. What do you
it's
think
just
about beating the guy to death?
it's just so superb. Well, also it's just, I mean, I the player feel so satisfied by this
Me too,
animalistic
dude. I
carnage.
hate that prick. He's so annoying.
Absolutely, it's like
I
it's
gotta
not what he
ask.
should be doing, but I mean, damn, I feel good about it.
Yeah, it's satisfying. And you almost feel like he's just as deserving as all the people that Zero has been having killed off on the list. Actually, even more so. Like at least Josh Rose had the decency to be, you know, a little bit remorseful about his actions. The therapist does not care. He views you as a tool for his own whims and his higher ups' whims to enforce hegemony on the world, essentially, to erase you and the people who have suffered under the government. He will use you, essentially, to do that under the ruling class. And you
Oh yeah,
say, no, enough of this shit. Get fucking bludgeoned, idiot.
and then you find your dossier, and turns out you're supposed to be off.
Yeah, if you found out about anything, it's a cool little confirmation because I already suspected that much about the guy that he was using us and we were going to die at the end. But it was nice to have that full confirmation. You know, the first time. You also inject 3 things of Chronos because your withdrawal is going so bad.
I know, it's crazy. You're just sitting there, and then you're just chilling in your chair, just like
In
juicing yourself up.
fact, your withdrawal is so bad that if you do a little bit of secret trolling, and by secret trolling I mean if you play Zero as a complete asshat who hates the therapist and never does anything that he wants, Zero's withdrawal it gets so bad that he envisions the therapist taking a bunch of drugs and becoming an Akira-like monster with psychic powers, and then eventually a big flesh thing that attacks him. I want to also say, Justin has confirmed that those military style drugs, the ones that enhance strength and stuff like that, do exist. The fight is non canon. It's just something Zero was having in his head while he beat the therapist to death, essentially.
Right.
Uh, but those drugs do exist in the world of Katana Zero and New Mecha. So that's
Oh
cool.
yeah, that is neat. Like all this drugs, they'll just keep pushing it further and further. Those damn scientists.
Those damn scientists.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, hell yeah.
But so
When
anyway, that
will it's a
happens.
Frankenstein thing. When will mankind learn? Oh wait, what's the fucking Jurassic Park line about them saying they were too busy wondering what they could do. They didn't ask if they should or whatever.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Something along the lines of like, like should we have brought them back?
Yeah,
Like
essentially.
maybe history was done with them. Maybe we should have been too.
Yeah. Uh what a movie, Jurassic Park.
What a the first. Oh my God, Jurassic Park. I enjoy the first movie, and after that, like it's all just.
Like the
Uh,
first one with Chris Pratt as well, Jurassic World. It's a fun movie. It's
okay,
a
World is
stupid
fun and
movie.
entertaining, but like,
It's not as good as the first movie.
no.
Don't get me wrong. But it's better than Jurassic World 2. Not World. Well, yes, it's better than Jurassic World 2, but it's also better than Jurassic Park 2. Uh,
Oh my gosh, T Rex running around
oh my
in the
god.
city.
Anyway,
Either
sorry,
way,
we're getting sidetracked. I
it's
love this
almost done,
game.
viewer. I promise. We're almost through.
Hey, no, we're yapping. They
Last
got
level here. Last
they
level here.
signed up. They signed. We were actually almost done with the game. So,
Exactly.
but they signed up for
Almost there.
this.
They
They
did.
wanted to learn about Jurassic Park and my opinions on Jurassic Park. God damn it.
Oh, I certainly did tonight.
Anyway,
Last
uh,
level. Here we go. So all the gameplay is done at this point. For the most
mhm.
part, this is the story wrapping itself up.
Well,
You
not
walk.
really, because it leaves a lot open. Because we're very
Oh,
clearly going to get a
right.
sequel and free
Sorry.
DLC.
I mean to say the at least
The
like
the
what's been
campaign,
released.
yeah.
Yeah.
So we get done with beating the therapist to death, and we run away. We go back to our apartment, and we find it ransacked. And our landlady, who I can only picture as like a chain smoking, New York accent lady, tells us that there was no kid. Kids don't live in the third district. And Zero gets recognized as fitting the profile of the dragon and chased away after freaking out, like looking for the girl. Uh, we then cut to. Actually, you should take this one because you used the music for one of your student films. So,
Okay, yeah. So,
yeah.
dear viewer, this is where the ending comes into play. And I this scene, like, if there's one scene I imagine Katana Zero, I know most people think of like the rooftop scene. For me, it was this moment here.
Hmm.
You've escaped. I'll come back to the girl in a little bit. Either way, we were talking about earlier with like turns out you were the guy who came in to like and shot the scientist in that nightmare of yours and like
Yep.
spared the child. So yeah, the truth has been revealed. You were that guy who did that, and turns out Noel were fighting the war, and you used to be partners with 15. But you walk in, and it's the full-fledged memory at this point. You go in, destroy the machine after shooting the scientist, and you walk out. You light your cigarette, and then take a puff and toss it behind you into the hut to burn it down.
Yeah.
It's at this scene that the music starts playing. Oh, what song is that? I'm blanking on it in this moment.
Yeah.
It's
It's not called Way Home because that's in Hotline Miami too.
yeah. I know it when I
Far.
hear.
Let me look it up. Give me a
Either way,
second.
in this scene, you walk out, and just the sheer simplicity of like you just seem so
Come and see.
exhausted. Come and see. That's it. One my favorite song in this whole game. Just you walking out to like this acoustic guitar strumming away, with a
Yeah.
violin kicking in as a pano landscape of like the land just burning against the shoreline is
And you know
played.
what's really interesting about that as well? It's named after a anti-war film about it's about World War II specifically. The film is called Come and See, and it's about essentially how awful war is.
Exactly. Like
It's about World War II and the Nazis invading Russia, uh, and Florian is the main protagonist, and he goes through hell, and he becomes incredibly jaded and almost broken by what he sees and then what he does in response to the Russians. Very good movie, by the way. Super hard watch, though.
absolutely. And well, it's like come and see like the atrocities that we're having to deal with and just like the
Yeah.
simplicity of like we've been in this like neo-punk setting for like the whole game just to have like there's
The
just no sign of
villages and stuff like
technology.
that.
It's just
Yeah,
villages and like just you finally see like a shoreline, like nature for the first time, and just the screen fades out to black. It's just so effective. As Joel mentioned, I used this song in a student film project. I credited, by the way, so it's on the YouTube channel you're listening to this podcast on.
yeah.
I called it Survival the Fit. Yeah, Survival the Fittest. It was a
It's
goofy little
goaded.
project I did.
It's
Yeah.
amazing. Don't call it goofy. It's goaded. It's peak.
Just my little high school self and my friends were having a good old time.
Yeah, it's
I
amazing.
felt
Was this for
I,
BE or was this for
this was for JPG. My
JPG? Got you, got
yeah,
you.
my high school up in Virginia, and
Mhm.
so like we got creative freedom to like do whatever we want. And like I kid you not, I basically just ripped off the ending to Halo Reach. And
Who
then this
cares?
song comes on.
It's peak fiction.
Dude,
It's
I kid you not, like, the whole thing where I, like, take my helmet off, don't show my face, I drop my helmet down, and the camera sees me
yeah,
stumbling in the back and, like,
Noble Six type
falling on
beat.
the ground. Yeah,
Yeah.
I ripped off Halo Reach, I was such a big Halo head.
Yeah, no, it's fine. It's peak fiction.
It was, but
Anyway,
this song just fit that so well, and I
the
love
the
it.
song is awesome. It is really good. Uh anyway, we cut to a few little vignettes that's setting up things to come. One, we see Snow mourning V, which is very interesting. Because I kind of viewed them as like a brother sister pair almost a little bit.
Yeah,
So almost right because she put up with this psychopathy, almost like sort of like a well, you can't choose your family. I guess this one just happens to kill people in snuff
exactly.
films,
Like, there was
you know.
something close there.
But
There's
then you cut to this unknown guy, and he says, "Look, I think the writing of this game is peak. I think this line is kind of shit, but it's shit in like a cheesy movie way. So it's like really, it's good for me. Where he's like, I see that it's time to wage open war with the government.
I
It's
know. It's like, okay, dude, whatever. Like the most like
it,
unbased like corporate head
yeah,
probably he's so far gone from Earth, like of course.
yeah. It's like it's so super villain shit, and for a game that's been so well written to this point, it comes a little bit out like okay, there has to have been a better way to say that, but I don't care because it's funny, so it's fine, you know.
Absolutely. Well, and then what is it? And after that you cut to 15
15 with
like
V's
plotting
corpse
his
in the
next move.
background. He's
Yes,
plotting.
interrogated.
Yeah, V is 100% dead. Oh shit, we forgot that small scene with
Oh yeah.
V
Does it come
taunting
before or after?
V taunting Zero. I think it comes before. I think it's before 8 and 9 when he's heavy tweaking on withdrawals, and V just says, "You're gonna look a lot worse than me at this end when you withdraw eventually." Like, and he's got his arms cut off, and he's like, "Yeah, the real dragon fucked me up," stuff like that. But you're gonna have it worse. It was a cool little
Oh
scene.
yeah. Absolutely. Well,
But
either way, B is dead. Sad, big sad. Our favorite
big sad. Our
Russian
favorite.
thug.
What did you call him? A Gropnik or
Gopnik. Gopnik is the
Golpnik?
word.
Yeah, our favorite Golpnik is dead as hell. It's a shame. Uh, and then we cut through credits, and we get one last credit stinger with the little girl surrounded by the men in masks, and they're taunting you, the player, I think, who is in the stand-in for Zero to an extent, saying how the little girl's squirming and how she's gonna suffer a terrible fate. And I think Comedy says, "Let's make it fun," and then the game ends. And sorry. Yes, and the game ends.
And it ends.
Hmm.
Oh, such a beautiful game. Now, before we wrap up this episode, I
We
have
gotta
to
talk
ask,
theories in shop.
of course, is the little girl real, or do you think she's like a figment? I think I'm under the presumption that she's real and that she was simply like just not being shown around the apartment a lot.
She can't. She can be both. I think I'm more of a the little girl's representative of Zero's conscience, if that makes sense. But he's so
Right.
whacked out on Kronos that he's manifesting pieces of his psyche into the real world, kind of like Tyler Durden in Fight Club. I wouldn't put it past the game to be like that.
Oh,
Because
that's fair.
as
Especially
soon as
since
the
like her silhouette appears in the nightmare segments
Yeah.
at
As
times.
soon as the little girl comes into his life as well, Zero becomes a little bit less cruel. He doesn't kill the family, for instance, after meeting
Right.
her and having someone to protect. She reminds him that there is good in the world, and that is he himself talking about that. And by picking the silver mask of death, Zero has to discard his conscience, throw the little girl away, even though it hurts him, because he's going to keep spreading death, essentially.
Ah, gotcha. Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
That's how you can view it. I like that reading. I also do like the little girl's real reading, because then it makes the men in the masks real. Because one thing with the little girl being fake reading that I don't like, it also implies that the men in masks are fake, and I can't necessarily fully get behind that. I think that they are more than likely real, especially when they appear in levels, stuff like that. Like again, Tragedy shows up in the Murdower Hotel just stalking Zero, and I like the idea of these strange entities being real and stalking Zero almost,
Right.
messing
But
with him,
it's
harming
it's
him.
hard to necessarily say because like you're so tripped out, like you've known to be delusional during the game sometimes.
Yes, you are definitely known to be delusional, which is why it's hard to come down one way or the other. But I like both theories, and I think the game is written well enough and it's not expounded upon enough that you can choose both to go with. Um,
Right.
Another thing I wanted to talk about theory wise, what do you think those people in vats are? Do you like the cloning thing, or do you think it's something different? Like,
I want to think it's something different. I want to think it's a new project because like what is it? Justin Josh Rose like basically implied that or like Leon or whatever his name is, the guy with who is like in the cryo tank with
yeah,
the
Leon,
sniper
yeah,
turret.
yeah,
Yeah, Leon. Uh it sounded like he wanted to start anew. So I'm wondering if like somebody else oversaw that and now they're trying to start anew. I wonder if this is something completely different or like
yeah.
yeah, or like a Gen 2 null project.
Hmm.
That's what I think of it. I don't know if it's like necessarily
That
clones,
would
but I
make
think
sense. Yeah. All right. They do have like a VR headset on almost. Maybe they are like in just like null training too, and
it could be.
they're getting Metal Gear Solid 2 in there. They're
It could
riding
be.
VR training, and then they
It
get Chronos as a reward or something.
maybe, who knows?
I wanted to
I
ask
do. Oh,
before we wrap up.
please.
Oh, no, no, you got
Uh,
something.
I I was just gonna add that I also just really like the Russian and like Chinese like aesthetics
I
of this game.
I was gonna say one thing. I don't think I covered this in the aesthetic portion when we talked about that, but the art direction is so cool how it will mash together not just Russian but Chinese, but it's also its influences from anime and old samurai movies and stuff like that. You can see Justin wear his like influences on his sleeve with this, but it's so good. Also, you know what's really weird? A weird analogy, not a weird analogy, a weird tie between this game and Signalis.
What's
Both
that?
of them are unabashed a little bit about where they're pulling from, but they both make it uniquely their own.
Y-
They
You know,
both are
I
referential
agree.
titles, right? Uh, Signal is a lot more referential than this. Let's be completely clear. But
Right, but you can see where their influence are, but they also like wear it
they're
like
a
they make it into
completely
their own
unique,
style.
yeah, a completely unique thing. Uh, that's really cool. Before we wrap up, I just want your final thoughts on the game, what you are looking forward to in the DLC, any last minute thematic analysis you want to do. Uh, Sort of handing you the floor for like a closing argument, lawyer style.
Oh shit! I didn't realize I had to get my Ace Attorney practice in.
Yeah, you
Uh,
do. I'll be
so,
Edgeworth.
okay, sounds good. Feel free to pick at me. Um, I really love this game overall, and I'm excited to see where it goes.
Mhm.
We've discussed a lot of the themes so far. I'm curious to see if there's anything expanded on that kind of biblical side of things, but also
Yeah, dude.
uh,
That'd
in
be
terms of the
interesting.
game, absolutely. And in terms of the gameplay, I really want to see not just like all the sciencey stuff, but I want to see what happens with this divine tragedy and comedy plotline, as well as like seeing how like I'm wondering if Zero. I don't think he can completely redeem his humanity, but like the little girl, I think is at least like a step towards his conscience being able to almost like touch what it means to be human for
Yeah,
somebody
I
who
think
has
Zero can
lacked it.
die right, if that makes sense. Where
Yeah,
I don't think he can fully live right. I could be wrong, but I think what the game is setting up for him is like a final choice of humanity to an extent, where he can be accepting, and he can spend his last moment in eternity feeling that humanity with the withdrawal of
feeling
Kronos.
exactly a happy death, so to say.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe like a
Uh,
purgatory style death. Maybe that's what's getting biblical about this. Maybe it's like it comes down to like Kronos is like a deathly hell, but
oh yeah,
maybe
and I forgot to even mention Kronos is Greek. It's the Titan of Time.
right, yeah. And so
Yeah,
maybe like in a way like with the biblical context of things, like maybe
it's
I mean
not Abrahamic, but it's also mythological. They're taking a ton of mythologies there. Kronos, from Greek. We've got our New Mecca from.
right. There's a whole mix
Actually,
of
that's a little
different
dangerous.
religious.
Religious imagery
Yeah,
is better. I shouldn't say
yeah.
mythological. My atheists coming out here. Please don't hurt me, guys. I'm
Well,
sorry.
it's like a mix of both because
Yeah,
like mythology and
it was old
religion,
religion.
yeah,
Yeah,
was old religion. So it's like in a way like, you know, maybe science perceives the old religion as like the way to go, but maybe like there's the biblical side of things or the Abrahamic side of things that like
I think it's more that they think they are better than these things, if that makes sense. They're naming them after, like, a common stuffed toy is named after Leviathan, one of the scariest things in the Old Testament, kind of thing.
oh,
They think
absolutely.
that they are above those old gods and those ideas, that
And
they
therefore
can,
they emulate the man-made gods
yeah,
through
they,
Kronos.
yes, Kronos, they control time. They control those old gods. That concept is not deified anymore. They are above it. So they can name it like that, if that makes sense.
Absolutely, I agree.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm curious to see where it goes in that direction.
Me too.
But those are my comments. What about you before we wrap
Love the
this up?
game. I don't think it was. Look, I talked a shit ton this podcast. I feel a little like a Yapatron, but I do love this game. It's amazing. Uh, I'm excited for the DLC. Everything that I've seen is really good. The track, I'm going to shout this one out as well. The track that was released by Ludowick called Chemical Brew is so good sounding. It better be in a good level in this game because it is quickly one of my favorite combat tracks in the whole game. It even beats out Breath of the Serpent, which is the soundtrack that plays during the dragon level, which is one of the I think the best combat track in the game. But I love Chemical Brew so much. Check out that song because it's a cool teaser for the DLC. It's super awesome. Um, yeah, I'm excited to see everything where it goes. Thematic analysis. I think the game is pretty open about what themes it's playing with. The idea of human beings trying to play God and failing. The idea of the rich thinking that they are above everyone else. Same with the idea of like the government using people without telling them what they need to do. Not telling them what they need to do because they do tell you what they need you to do without giving them proper information of what they're sacrificing and what they're being giving up. That's why I think the Vietnam stuff plays in a lot. It's going on a very similar angle as films like Platoon or like Apocalypse Now, where you like take in these people and like show them the horrors of war kind of thing and be like, they didn't know what they were getting into and it's awful or whatever. Uh, I think that's where it's going. And I really am interested to see the humanity of Zero hopefully come back a little bit and clash with those ideas of being like a failed god to an extent. Like he got elevated, this psychopath, to a position of godhood, but it's an imperfect one and it's causing him to break. I really want to see that happen with on the line of your biblical stuff, that you talked about, Jack. If that can sort of come together, the like more touching on godhood along with the failures of science and the failures of the ruling class, it'd be cool, I think.
I agree, but
Yeah.
only time will tell. Hopefully, we get that DLC soon.
It's been 6 years, I think.
Uh,
Wait, how long has it been? When did Katana Zero come out?
oh, dude,
I think it was 2019.
Yeah, it's been a long time. I played this back in high school. I'm like already in my 4th year in college. Oof, I feel old.
2019? No, it's been six
Oh,
years.
we're boomers.
I
Uh,
I think it's over. I think it's
it,
Jover.
it's so Jover. Well, while we wallow
Oh,
in our existentialism,
before
please.
we finish, I want you to guess what IGN gave this game. I think that'd be fun. Every now and again, we compare IGN rating to our rating.
Ooh, okay. I'm gonna give
My
this
rating 10 out of 10. That's
t
me, but
my
that's
rating. I'm gonna say. Oh, that's tough. That's really tough. 9 out of 10, just because like I gotta get a solution soon, or else I'm gonna cry.
yeah. No, fair enough, fair enough. IGN, I think they gave it a solid rating. Should be higher, but it's an 8.7. So
Okay, that's still great. Yeah, it's still a great
yeah, that's
game.
still great. Yeah, I think they liked
Absolutely,
it a lot.
absolutely.
Oh,
Some may
and they
latch
have
on
the
to it
same
more than
complaint.
others.
They have the same complaint as you. Katana Zero's adrenaline pumping action is incredible, and its presentation is stellar, but the story feels cut short. That I think that's how you feel. Honestly, you want the answers.
Yeah, I need
Yeah,
the answers.
yeah. Anyway, do you want to sign us off?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you again to my co-host Joel for proposing we do Katana Zero. I've had a fun time discussing this game. Phenomenal game, must play game. Please go check it out for yourself if you
Mm-hmm.
haven't already. Um,
Give Justin more
thank you.
money so he can make the DLC.
Please, I need it now. I need it now.
Yeah, I do.
If I can't get enjoyment out of it, neither can the viewer.
Yes, I agree. Agreed. I will. If you somehow get the DLC before me, I'll break your kneecaps. This is not. This is a joke, not a threat. I'm joking.
Definitely not.
Don't
He's not.
unsubscribe.
He's not joking.
No. Don't unsubscribe, please.
Well,
Uh,
either way, I'm Jack, and with me
I'm
Joel.
Joel.
Yep. Thank you so much for listening, and hope you have a wonderful night. And don't keep yourself up all night too. Bye.
Bye.